Oh, apparently that just goes live as soon as I hit the button. Huh. Whoops, sorry. Hey everyone, it's Jamie. I wasn't planning on going live necessarily per se, because, surgeries and things, and so I'm not super keen on like everything right now. However, there's a brand new video board going in, so this is a Blackmagic the whole TMRO control room is driven by a Blackmagic Constellation switcher. And it's kind of two pieces. There's the brain of the unit, which sits next door in engineering, but then there's the control surface. For the longest time, this was the most updated control surface you could get for the larger Blackmagic switchers, but they've since come out with two new versions of this. They've got a 4ME, and ME stands for mix effects. So each one of these banks right here is a mix effects bus. So this is 2 mix effects. So they've got a 4 mix effects bank, which is like 4 of these, and then it's twice as wide. And while that is a 4ME switcher, we just don't need that kind of, that's just too big. It's too much. It's too much control surface. It's also like $16,000. And for quite a bit less money, I was able to pick up the updated model of this, which is a 2 mix effects bus control surface. So yeah, that's kind of the plan. We're going to rip this guy out. It's kind of nice because we've been using this for half a decade now. It's been like 5 years, 6 years. Ooh, maybe 6 or 7 years at this point. So, and it's been on most of the time, and so these screens are starting to. You can even see it on camera. Like some of them are brighter and darker than others. Some of them are really hard to read. This has served us very, very well, but it's time for an update. Now, the other nice thing to note here is that the fact that I'm updating this at all shows that the shows aren't going anywhere. We're still doing shows. I'm just kind of waiting for all of this to come into play because, not gonna lie, hurts quite a bit physically. So need this to settle down. So probably early 2021, quarter 1 2021 is kind of what I'm targeting at this point. So I can't really move the camera, but I do need to unbox the new control surface. Let's see if we can get this all set up. It's going to be pretty freaking sweet. It'll also be just easier in general if we ever have guests in the control room doing anything. By the way, I do have the chat room open, so if you're curious or you have questions about anything, here's so it gives you an idea of size. So here's the top cover. This is that's just protecting it. The nice thing is there's like more functionality on this control surface, and I think it's actually a little bit smaller. So here is, ooh, it's heavy. Here's what the new board looks like, right? So that gives you a nice kind of view of the board, and it's broken up into groups of 10. And I'll show you some cool things with regards to this board in a minute. All right, so I need to remove the old one. Forgive my voice and kind of like nasal stuff. I'm not actually sick. It's all due to the surgery. I've got some drainage going on because they did quite a bit of nose work, and so it's been fun and interesting. So the neat thing about their control surfaces is if you look at the back, this is one of the older ones. They since built the power supply into the board. This one had an external power brick, which kind of sucks, but now it's all built in. So this is where the primary and backup power bricks go, and then it's just 2 Ethernet ports right over here. And that's it. It's just Ethernet control from this board back to the main back to the main switcher, which makes life really, really easy. You just use standard networking to make everything go. So no weird custom serial cables or any other weird stuff like that, which is kind of what a lot of the other boxes historically had used, although most switchers have really moved over to IP. So if you look at the back of this, same deal, except now the power supplies are built in, so you got primary and backup, and then I actually have a 4-port switch sitting in the back of this guy. And I don't think any of these support, no, I don't see a PoE symbol on any of that. That would have been nice. We'll do the one all the way over there, and then, yeah, see, this is just it just looks nicer, right? It's just sleeker, smaller, it fits the table better. Give me a moment here to figure out where in the world this cable is. Okay, goes there. We can kill that. This can go up. Ugh. But can it? I'm doing this backwards. I should be using gravity to my advantage, not trying to fight it. All right. Now we'll drop power into one of these guys. And before I pulled out the old unit, I took a picture of its network settings so I could just kind of replicate those. There we go. For reasons I will never understand, Blackmagic does not include, well, actually, I do understand it. I think I just disagree with it. They don't include power cables anymore. So I was lucky in that I already had a power cable kind of set up for this board, but like, you know, I had to pull out the old brick to get that power cable going and just include a bunch of stuff. So BV Ski Jump says, "Hi Jamie, how are you doing? Really cool to see you doing updates." Yeah, Carrie-Ann is out doing a zero-G flight, which I did ask my doctor, I did ask my facial feminization surgeon if I would be allowed to do a zero-G flight on October 24th, and he said, and I quote, "Oh hell no," unquote. So she's doing that solo, and I couldn't bear to tell her that she couldn't go on this incredible flight opportunity. So yeah, she's doing a bunch of parabolas right now. I, on the other hand, get an opportunity to play with video toys, which, for me at least, does not suck. I do enjoy this. So you can see that it's powered up. You can kind of see that the screens have come on. Yeah, so Terrence says no power cables better for global. Yeah, and that's exactly the reason I was kind of get at is that, you know, Blackmagic is a global company. They're based in Australia. So, you know, what power cables do you include? But like, okay, yeah, so for no reason, it says it's good to see me up and about, but, you know, take my time. Yeah, you know, everything's, you know, my body's very busy healing right now, so I'm constantly tired. It's definitely not COVID because I had to take a COVID test before my surgery, and then I just took one yesterday, and I got the results back already, and both were negative, so that is not it. I'm just literally had my face ripped off, and you know, and then put back on, and that's kind of stressful. Okay, so network settings, panel IP 192.168, and then we needed to go to. It's nice that I can do this on the panel without having to plug in Ethernet, which I used to, or excuse me, USB. I will save that. DHCP is off, so subnet, that seems fine. And this needs to be 1. Save that. Cool. So go back home, go network, panel, switcher IP 192.168, 1.10. And let's see if we have the correct version of firmware. Save changes. Boom! Look at that. Popped right up. Let me turn off some lights so you can see it better. I don't know if you can actually see it better. All right, let me turn on some different lights so you can see it equally as good, I guess. I don't know. That's right. The studio lights are in a different room. Yeah, this is way nicer. It's way easier to see. You've got like you got a bunch of macros that you can do. And let me see if I can zoom in on that. Sorta is the answer. All right, well that's good enough for now. So you get a rough idea as to like kind of what's going on. Like you've got your program preview bus. So programs right here, previews right here. This is my second mix effects bus. So yeah, you can actually see everything working. The problem now is that we don't use our inputs in order. So we don't use like camera 1 on input 1, camera 2 on input 2. It's actually all over the board. So what I need to do is I need to reprogram the board. So and the really great thing is on this panel, I can actually set colors for each individual light, which is something that I do over at Company X. So we have it grouped by like launch pad and then by like tracking cameras, so you can visually see, oh, I need to jump over to the blue bank, or I need to jump over to purple, or I need to jump over to amber, based on what you're doing. Okay, so we're gonna do that, get that all out of my way. What else we got? Yeah, Alejandro, if I said that right, hopefully. A zero-G flight, yeah, she had an opportunity. It's someone's birthday over at Company X, and they wanted to go on a zero-G flight, and so they just booked a plane and went to other Company X employees and said, hey, if you want to join me, here's how much it costs. And a bunch of people took them up on that, and I totally would have gone as well if there wasn't danger of like harming my face. Terrence says one of the best aspects of the Blackmagic is the just plug and play nature. Yeah, actually, I'm also a really big fan of the ability to just send a return SDI signal into the camera and use that to shade and paint the camera. I think that's really powerful and really easy. And I don't, like everyone else makes that way more complicated with like camera control units and remote control panels. Sorry, it's still kind of hard to talk. But yeah, I think they just do a really phenomenal job, especially bang for your buck, right? This is a 4K production suite. Nope, that's not true. This is an 8K production suite. I can do live 8, I don't know how I would encode it, but I could do a live 8K shoot on this panel if I wanted to. The 4ME version of this panel is effectively twice as wide and twice as deep. So it literally would not fit on this table. It's a behemoth of a thing, and that's what I use over at Company X. This is more than adequate for tomorrow, though. So let's go ahead and get this thing programmed. Let's see here. It's settings, button mapping. Let's do, let's see here. I like my cameras on the left of my control surface. Everyone's different. Some technical directors like their cameras on the right. I actually like my cameras and my transitions to be far away from each other. Like there is no right answer. I mean, obviously I'm the right answer, but camera 4. Well, I don't have I have a TD cam, so it's 1, 2, 3 TD cam. And actually, let's do purple on those. And let's do purple on that one too. And then let's see here. I could do Mac. I've got Mac 1, 2, 3, and then 4, 5, 6. Yeah, let's do that over there. So button 5 will blank out just for now. I'm gonna kind of, I don't know what I'm actually gonna do. I keep thinking it's 8. Oh God, Terrence says I hard cut. I hope you don't cut in program. If you cut in program, I kick you out of my control room. There are times when you need to hard punch in program. Those are few and far between. They're generally emergencies. If I have a TD that's hard punching in program, we force them down to preview because we need to stage what's coming up. We need the producers to see what's about to go to air. We need to understand it. There are a few times where it's just, it's live, right? So you have to get there. You have to get there now, and you do not have time to stage and go. So you just bam straight to whatever. Sorry, I realize this is active to you. But yeah, that's the exception, not the rule. All right, so let's see here. Nope. 9. None. 10. Okay. So now we're gonna do. I have a producer cam. I forgot about that. TD computer. Quad 1, 2, 3, 4. Green room. Jeez. All these extra feeds that I forgot about. CG, DDR, TD spare, multi. Okay, now where the heck is that input then? Oh, it's all the way to the left, of course. Idiot. Mac 1-1, 1-2, 1-3. Sorry, this is tedious and boring. 2-1, 2-2. I should have been coloring these while I was going, but I didn't think of that. 2-3. All right, let's see here. What do we want for these? We'll do blue on the Mac 1. Then we'll do something pretty different. Yeah, amber. No, what? There's a teal color. We'll do amber, so it's really far away. Okay, now let's see here. I tend to prefer my DDR on the far right of the board. Let's see here. Do I want social over here? I got my Mac stuff. Where do I want my social? I think I'm going to drop social on like 10. Social. Okay, we'll give that a color of like that. And then I'll put my TD computer over here. You'd think that, let's see here, TD spare. Yeah, TD computer. I'm going to give that a color of, do I want that to be amber also? Yeah, why not? Board's getting colorful. Let's see here. Cameras are nice and separated. Social computer. Hey, look at that. I can bring you to air. Huh, that's what I'm showing. That's fun. Why is my social computer down? Oh, it probably crashed. All right, so social needs to come back up. Mac. All right, one of my Mac screens is down. Those are working. Producer cam has nothing. You know, I should drop producer cam over here just so I have it. TD producer, and that needs to be purple. Now let's see here. Next to TD cam, I think I've got an ISS above somewhere in here. Oh, my super sources. Yeah, I'm going to want those. There you are. Is it working? Oh, hey, look at that. It's actually up. That's pretty cool. All right. Any other? By the way, as I'm talking through this, any other questions from the viewing audience? Let's see if I can't get this shaded a little bit better so you can see these buttons more. It's a little bit bright. All right, so I'll get rid of that. I'll put DDR there. Let's see our camera. I don't want green room. Cam TD, there you are. Now, I mean, you can sort of see it a little bit better. Let's see what else we got going on here. Cam TD. Oh, you're getting boosted in the middles. Oh, wow. You're like all messed up. That'll work. We'll bring you back up. All right, you get a rough idea, right? So I've got my 4 primary cameras. I suppose it's like 5. So I've got camera 1, 2, and 3, which are out in the out on the observation lounge, which are not online right now. They're powered down. I've got my producer cam, which is actually camera behind me. It's not patched in, but I've got a wall jack for it, so I figured to program it on the board. I've got my ISS above, which is this green guy right here, although it doesn't actually have, I haven't colored it for anything. I've got my technical director computer, which this allows me to, you know, I can bring something up on this screen, right? So if we're talking about the space shuttle discovery, cool. So I can just call up an image, be like, all right, yeah, I want to see that. Oh, that's not what I wanted. I see, this is, there you go, cool. Can I even do this? Neat. So then I can be like, okay, yeah, here's space shuttle discovery, right? Boom, there's a shot. And that's off of my technical director computer that's sitting right in front of me, which makes it really fast and easy for me to call up media in the middle of a show. But then I've also got, sorry for overblowing the camera, because I think that's really important. Like we try to do this thing where we, you know, pre-staged all the media, but that just doesn't work because then everyone drops into scripts and whatnot. So that's not fun. And then let's see here, TD computer, and then the social computer, which is exactly that. That's what brings up the full screen social. Oh, that's why the contrast is like cranked. That's a little bit better. Yeah, that's a little nicer. Let's see here. So those are all the different things. I don't know why the social computer is down. I'm going to have to take a peek at that in a minute. Then I've got these different Mac boxes. So here's the Mac Mini number 1. This is one of our Zoom rooms. So if I go to Mac 01, I'll see what's going on. Yeah, so I've got a bad media converter somewhere because it should be showing me 3 screens. And I can tell because if I go to my technical director computer, I've got VNC open to that Macintosh. And so I can see that I've actually got all 3 screens open over here and the sharing key and whatnot. But on my control surface, or actually even on my multi-viewer, I can only see, I can only see 2. Can I get to the multi-viewer? This is a clever setup I should show you guys. I'm surprised that it didn't route in there. Okay, that's fine. Actually, hang on. I'm going to route that in there. So I'm going to, it's going to be shifted 1, and we're going to make that multi-A. Shift 2 is going to be multi-B. Shift 3 will be multi-C. So one of the things I do, which is a terrible idea because you take a frame hit doing this, on my Blackmagic switchers, D, I actually route the multi-view back into the switcher, which allows me to bring it to air, but more importantly, this allows me to actually use the aux buses to route it to different screens. So I actually, believe it or not, do not have an external router with this system. I use the switcher as the router because it has 24 outputs. So as long as I can bring the multi-views back in, then I've got enough to work with, right? So there's kind of like the engineering multi-view, and then this is, if you look at, let me unshift, if you look at here, so then I've got like, so that, I'm sorry, that was the main multi-view on the left, and then I've got my TD computer, and then I've got this multi-view over here. I'm actually going to try to get that Casper system back up and running, because this is bothering me a little. Oh, it's hard powered down. That's fun. Bring you back online. Normally it actually has a giant clock on it. Oh wait, that's a good point. Why is that not working? Because social should be up too. Neat. Oh, neat. You auto-updated. Thanks, Windows. That's cool. The question is, are there any other updates to the station that I have? You know, I haven't actually done a whole lot else to the station, no. 1920 by 1080. Keep changes. You did not detect. Oh, the Casper CG is down hard. Neat. We'll close that. We're going to go ahead and give this a nice little restart. And then we're going to take a peek at the social system, see if it came up. It did not. So no other real upgrades. Yeah, I think this is the biggest upgrade, is making it a little bit easier for the technical director. Oh, by the way, one of the nice things is if you look, I can double-click shift on their panels now, and I can go to all my shifted inputs. So it's a 40 input system. Each one of these banks is 10 inputs. So, you know, inputs 1 through 10, 11 through 20, 21 through 30, 31 through 40, right? So it makes it really easy to get to whatever you might need to get to. You can shift, you can press to get there, or you can double click, or what's also fun is if you want, you can just double click in preview and actually put that there. So this is also how I know that I've got a infinite return because of program. This is how I know. Oh, and also you can see the problem. See how it's constantly 1 frame off all the way down with the view meters? That's because I'm adding a 1 frame delay in absolutely everything. So yeah, and then that's the third multi. That's for out there. Is this the engineering multi? Where's the engineering multi? Oh, I think this is the engineering multi. Here you go. So you can actually see a couple of really cool things that I'm doing. The first is we've got 2 Mac Minis. Each one has 3 USB-C to HDMI outputs. Yeah, the social computer did not come up correctly. Now it's going to scream at me. And I can see it because it's got a little blinking cursor on there, which is also my TrueConf server. Okay, let's try that again. So you can see that I've definitely got an issue. I'm going to go ahead and try rebooting some of these controllers. These are Teranex Mini HDMI to SDI converters, and for whatever reason, the units on the left side keep crashing. I think it's heat related, but I've pulled off like the side of the entire enclosure to help prevent that, and it still happens. The other gripe I have with the Teranex units is that they take PoE, which is nice, except they have the Ethernet port with the pin down, so you can't get your, and then they've got a plate underneath it, so you can't get your finger under it. You have to use like a screwdriver to get to it. If they had just reversed the Ethernet port or flipped it 180 degrees, you'd be able to easily get your hand in there and pull, like push down on the pin and pull it out. But they didn't. Okay, cool. So you can see, like when I did that, you can see that Zoom Room 1, Mac 1 came online because it actually saw that third screen come back in, and that because I rebooted the Teranex, so those are back online fully. So now, if I were to host a session, did my social computer come up? No, and neither did Casper. Fun. Let's take a peek at Casper again. Well, it says Casper's running, so we'll take a peek at that. Okay, so now you can see Zoom Room 1 is working. The second Macintosh is working, which would be linked typically to not Zoom, but like to TrueConf. That way I've got multiple conferencing systems to bring me in there. I've also got an Apple TV, so I can AirPlay from a Macintosh or from an iPad or whatever it may be. We've got the ISS above, just kind of a nice little holding graphic. We've got my computer, and then I was testing something. You'll see at the bottom of this multi-view, quad 1, 2, 3, and 4. And if I can actually, yeah, I got rid of it. What you can actually do is, that is the TD computer. So that's, if you see the TD computer image on the kind of upper right-hand corner, and you see those 4 quads, it's actually just taking that and breaking it into 4 individual HD boxes, because everything coming into the system is 4K. And then the plan was, using TrueConf, they were going to work on a custom version of the Rooms software for me that I would then be able to break into a perfect quad at all times. So one computer, there we go, the social computer is trying at least. And here you go. I want to, I really do. So one TrueConf room would actually drive 4 totally clean conversation windows that I could cut between, which I think would be really, really cool. The thing is, they never actually got it working, or the windows are always moving, or they have a slight border to them, which breaks my setup. The other thing I'd asked them for is I want to be able to take quadrant 1, and say, okay, I want the audio from this to output to device A, and quadrant 2, audio to device B, quadrant 3, device C. That way I can actually do a true mix on my audio mixer. So I can have 4 people calling in remotely, have one system do the 4K playback, but then actually cut that up into quadrants and actually cut between them, all of them full screen, right? So I would be able to, let's see here, instead of green room, there you go. So I can go to, here's just quadrant 1 alone, right? Just the top left section of that computer. And other than the really low resolution VNC interfaces, you can actually see it's actually pretty clean. It looks pretty nice. And then I can actually go back to, if I wanted to, like a 4 view. So I could actually bring all 4 of them up. And that's not even including like the super sources that I have access to. Das Vosker says, in school we use the ATEM 1 panel, and it's so weird to see the ATEM 2. I'm used to the one screen in the panel, plus the ATEM 2 looks like 2 ATEM 1s smashed together. Yeah, a little bit. So they actually do make a smaller version of this control panel. The first version, so the the original ATEM 2 was kind of like the original version that they had of this size, and then they came out with the small version that was like just this bank and like kind of just this screen, so it's just like this section here. And it's a nice, cute little panel, but we actually do use the second ME to help drive the screens out on the observation lounge. And it's kind of not great to have to like bounce over to a different mix effects bus over here, because then you kind of lose track where you're at. So I like having ME1 always available for the primary webcast, and then I've got ME2, 3, and 4 available for driving screens or, you know, super sources or whatever else I might need it to be able to do. Hello, Aaron Husledge. Welcome. See, and I got my chat room here. So a little behind. Again, we're just kind of doing it behind the scenes of like we've got the new control surface, and you get a little bit of insight into how I do some of this stuff and some of the fun, cool things that I've been working on. Let's see here. Let's go back to. So button 20, I want that to be DDR-A. Let's see here. Social computer up? Okay, cool. All right, DDR-A, and then Shift 20 would be DDR-B. All right, let's go back. Probably want this to be super source 1. I probably want both super sources on here. So this is going to be super source 2. And then I'll make 18 super source 1. Let's see here. We'll make them purple because they're already kind of half purple. 19 purple. And then 20 I will make amber with an amber label because that kind of makes it stick out. Actually, will I? Yes, I will. If I do that, do I want to make these Mac buttons different? Yeah, colors matter. Yeah, I'm going to do that. I think that's going to look nicer. All right, yeah, that's a nice sleek. That's a sleek, like I've got enough differentiation here. I can see DDR. So these are my super sources. It's basically for those of you who are working on larger switchers, they're kind of like mini-me's, but like not quite as powerful / more powerful, right? So I've got one where I've got a double up. Here I've got a triple up, and I can route whatever I want. What do I have routed into? Oh, nothing. Usually I like to route like a mix effects bus into one of the bigger boxes so that I can kind of jump between whatever I want, but I did not do that. So we'll go back to this camera. Let's see here. I got to get rid of this. All right, that makes sense. Producer cam, ISS above, TD computer, social. Yeah. Actually, I might want to swap the colors on that because I think social is more important and give that kind of an amber color. And give you kind of that blue color. Yeah, that makes more sense. So here's the social system, and actually this is as simple as, assuming its IP address didn't move, it did not, you actually just pull this up, if you've ever wondered how our chat room works, and I go full screen. And it's literally just a Chrome browser. Neat, huh? Boom, and it's prefetching all the backgrounds, and so now my on-screen system is ready to go. I don't know why the Casper system, normally in this, normally where it says Casper Comp in the upper left-hand corner, that's the Casper CG system, and it actually has an HDMI to SDI media converter, and we use that as, we actually call up a Chrome browser, and I bring up just a giant clock. So there's this huge clock right here that tells me exactly what time it is, which helps for show timing. And then it also helps me know that, like, yes, the system is working. So let me just pull up Casper CG client. Oh, yeah, so DDR is up. No. Do I have to hit yes? I think I might actually have to hit yes. Yes. All right. And then we'll open a recent rundown. All right. Nothing. Cool. Let's go to images. All right, well that works. So here's my DDR image. So yay. I don't know why the other one doesn't work. Let's take a look at video. Well, you know, it might have been an old one. Oh yeah, there you go. There's some of the planetary. Oh, I was getting stretched not correctly. That is 1 unit of nope. Let's call up that system. See what's going on there. That's Casper. So this is probably something in the deck link got updated. Deck link video setup. Oh, here, I can. There you go. So 2160p 24, and that all looks correct. I mean, that shouldn't matter, but 2160p 24. Level B, that's fine. 1080p, that's fine. Single link, that's my problem. I'm not dual link. One more time. Launch Casper CG server. Boop, boop. Okay. All right, now, if I do the same thing, that's a little bit nicer. That's a little more what's expected. Leland Rogers says, I'm a retired IT tech, but audio and video is out of my wheelhouse. Actually, what's interesting is that audio and video and IT are kind of two divergent paths, or they're two very, very separate paths. One's more electrical engineering and one is more IT. But they're converging, right? As we make more and more audio and video IP, like when you look at what's going on, hang on, I'm going to zoom back out so you can see the control room a little better. Sorry, this is not a parfocal lens, so it's going to be kind of messy here. I think it's about right there. So when we look at what's going on inside of this control room, this is not the primary switcher, but it's connected via IP back to my primary switcher. So I need to make sure that I've got a nice, clean connection. Let's get their logo off of here. Nice, clean connection working on the system, right? Otherwise, bad things will happen. I won't be able to switch my show correctly. This audio board, there's almost no analog audio moving into this board whatsoever. It's also connected via IP. All of my audio is coming into the system via Dante. So, and that's an audio routing protocol over IP. So all of my microphones are from Axient wireless packs that go to a receiver that sends it out over IP, which comes into the board as IP, gets mixed, and then sent back to the video switcher as an embedded SDI stream. So right now, the video streams themselves generally remain in what's called baseband, or I'm looking for an SDI cable, but basically coax or fiber realm that's not IP. And the reason for that is a single 4K 60 frame per second uncompressed video image over SDI is 12 gigabits per second. That's 12 gigabits per second. And I meant gigabits. And so if you've got, say, 200, 300 cameras, each one at 12 gigabits, imagine the networking architecture you're going to need to make that go. Whereas getting the silica for an SDI router to do that exact same thing, pretty cheap and easy. So generally speaking, most places still stay with baseband SDI. Now, there are other consumers, I don't want to call it consumer, there are prosumer technologies like NDI, which is network digital interface for video, but there are some pretty serious compromises you need to make NDI work. But you won't be running at 12 gigabit, you'll be running at, gigabit, 100 megabit type levels per camera. But let's just say again, you've got 200 cameras, all NDI, and let's just say that they're all a gigabit. That's 200 gigabits worth of video traffic. That's still a huge switching infrastructure. Your switch fabric is going to have to be pretty big. And so you look at that and you go, but why? Like, what is that buying me? And it does buy you certain things, especially if you need to go vast different distances. But generally speaking, SDI routers are so inexpensive. I don't see the value proposition of moving SDI at this time away from baseband. Now, networking technology continues to increase and get better. We continue to get it faster and faster, able to do more, and there will be, so baseband basically stays the same, and IP is kind of doing this, and there will be an intersection point somewhere. We haven't hit that point yet, but once we do, it's going to make a whole lot more sense from that moment forward to be on IP, because you'll be able to cram more stuff down the same pipe. So anyhow, there you go. That's a whole little diatribe that you get from me. BV Ski Jump says, seeing all these systems and having no idea how they work, being an absolute noob in video production, how long does it take to get the station from cold and dark to fully running and ready to stream? So good question. Generally speaking, the station stays powered up. Even when not on orbit, I don't know. The lights aren't on, and we'll shut down some of the screens, but the control surfaces stay on, the audio mixer stays on, the main primary rack stays on. Think of it kind of like a network. Like, you don't ever really power down your network, you just leave it running. Same thing with the control room. This is designed to be left running effectively the whole time. And so we do. Which means that if essentially we can walk in here and within 5 minutes we're ready to go. I have to flip one switch to turn all the studio lights on. I have to power up each one of the cameras. We do power those down. And then I have to hit go on YouTube. It takes more time to wire in my microphone and like put on my microphone than anything else. Once this is set up and ready to go, it generally works pretty well. Where things break is, where things take longer is if something's broken. Like you saw earlier when I was going to, Mac 1 and Mac 1 was down and it wasn't working correctly. That's when, okay, now we need to take a moment and reboot a device, or we need to fix a certain device, or, whatever the case may be. But, we've been sitting here idle for quite a while now, right? It's been a majority of 2020, this control room has been idle. I walked in and I only had to reboot 2 devices, right? Well, that's not entirely true. I had to reboot 2 media converters, and then I had to struggle with the computers. I think that's another fair assessment. We struggle more with Windows than we do with anything else. So, like, getting Windows to behave is definitely one of those things. Alan Zidak, I think is how you say that, says, hi, Jamie, good to see you again. Can't wait for tomorrow to get back to regular programming. Yeah, so I'm still pretty messed up, like up in here. I've got another surgery on December 10th, so October 13th surgery was here. December 14th surgery is here. And so those 2 will have a healing time that will end at right around the same time of approximately April, right? So I'm still pretty banged up in the face. I'm very, very swollen. My upper lip is still swollen. I can't move my mouth correctly. Pretty big headaches still. Like, all of this is very sore, and then part of this I can't even feel. So I need that to heal. It broke my voice feminization. When everything swelled up, you can hear that I've gone backwards in voice. So I'd like a moment to bring that back forward. And then, the mid section, augmentation and then sculpting happens on December 14th. And that takes a while to heal as well. And so that will all coalesce sometime around April. And I think that will probably be around the time that I'm comfortable with where I'm at in transition, showing up and not feeling like the conversation on tomorrow turns to transition. And that, I know it will at first because I've been off camera for so long. It'll be such a radical change in appearance. I get that. But that can only be a temporary thing. The conversation on tomorrow needs to be about humanity's exploration of the cosmos, and it shouldn't be focused around me. And so I really want to make sure that that's not what happens. I've also learned in trying to reset the shows and figure out what makes sense for the live shows. I've been begging and pleading and asking for, no scripts. I want a really dynamic, what I want the live shows to be is this. I want it to be a conversation. I want it to be a bunch of space geeks going out, grabbing a beer, having a drink, and just geeking out over space. That's what I want these shows to be. And, I've said that for years. I think you've all heard me say that for a very long time, but that's not what our shows were. And we would get closer and closer and closer, and then we would veer off path. And I've learned that when I'm on camera and I'm forcing the conversation, and I'm forcing the control room to be on their toes and not try to script things, and I'm forcing the other talent to not try to pucker up and not try to be all proper and actually laugh and enjoy themselves and have fun, I think I can guide us in the direction that makes sense. But when I'm not on camera, it very, very rapidly switches back into this very formal box thing that doesn't work. When you look at the statistics, you look at the numbers on YouTube, as soon as that happens, it just flatlines, and then sometimes it starts to go back down again. So it's important to me that we get it right. So I think my plan right now is, oh, sorry, I didn't mean to hit my mic. I will be the primary host for these. I'll probably be, I don't know if I will be technical directing or not while hosting. It might be fun. It might be too much. And then I think I'll have Jared as a regular co-host, because he's just been kicking butt and taking names with our news stuff. It's been phenomenal. He's just run with that, and it's been great. And then I think we're going to bring on 2 guest hosts every week. And so the 4 of us will just have a conversation about space. And, I'll have general topics for us to talk about, but that's pretty much it. And then the live chat room. And I think it'll be fun. So, bring on people from JPL, bring on guests, still bring on, some pretty interesting names, but instead of just having to sit down interview segment with them, just geek out with them, right? Just have a fun time with them. I think that's my plan. I think that's how I'm going to fix a lot of this stuff. But it requires that I'm on camera. It requires that I'm here driving that particular ship. And I personally am not ready for that just yet. All right, let's go back to some questions here. Juggling Lesson says, thank you, Jamie, for allowing us into your process. I'll watch again from the beginning to learn the tech part. I'm hosting an event at the moment, so just listening. Yeah, sure. Yeah, cool. Yeah. Leland asked, does Jared have someone on the board when he does news? Excuse me, I'm so sorry. Or is it automated enough for him to do it himself? Yeah, so basically he doesn't need to do a whole lot. All he needs to do is turn on the camera and then just punch the camera up so it's going through the system like this. And then he hits record. And then he records all of his news and all of his mistakes and everything. And then he goes back and he edits his news back in. And that was another one of the things that was one of my primary gripes, is that when we were scripting our news, okay, fine, but now we're doing live scripted content. Why are we live? All we're doing is showcasing our mistakes. We're not interactive, and we're having to make compromises in order to do it live. That doesn't make any sense at all. Why is the news portion, if we're going to script our news, why are we doing this live? If it's not interactive, if it's not talking to you, what's the point? Yay, it's live, but now it's just delayed. So that's part of the driving force behind ripping news out and going, okay, news does not belong in the live show. News belongs as its own pre-recorded thing that we can kind of polish and make correct and make look great, and then we'll also have the live show. But again, I really struggled with getting everyone on board with the idea of no, stop scripting this stuff. Stop being so formal. Stop, let go, have fun, laugh, smile, engage with the audience, connect with the audience, have fun. We're all in this together. This is this should be a fun time. It shouldn't be a chore. And it was turning into a chore. MSTST says, hey, Jamie, around April, you mentioned you wanted to go from Zoom to TrueCrump from remote guests. Did you? Tell us a bit about that. Thanks, Michael. Yes, we did. So I actually have both going on, as you can kind of sort of see. See, now I lost another Mac again. So stupid converters. So here you can see, here's one of the Zoom room kind of displays. But then on my second group of Macs, which apparently have updates available, I'll just call this up. Let's see here. So, I bring up TrueConf, and if the server is happy, what I can do, neat. I have 3 messages. What you can do is when you're in a call, you can actually, let's see if I can, so here's kind of the TrueConf interface, right? Later, tonight. I'm just going to update, even though that's probably going to screw me up here. So here's the main interface, and then if I had video in, which I'm not sure I do right now, okay, yeah. This is all about to reboot. Each one of the video windows would pop up over here. You can actually drag the video window off, right-click on it and say go full screen, and then you can drag this one to the next screen over. So I've got, screen number 2 sitting over here. So I drag it from, this screen over to this screen, and then I'd say go full screen, and then I'd rinse and repeat for screen 3, drag it over to that particular screen. And that allows me to get 3 full screen objects per Mac Mini out of TrueConf in a pretty high quality. And that's actually all being hosted off of this social computer that now says this. So I'm self-hosting it on my own bandwidth, which means I'm not relying on Zoom's backend interface. So I can actually get, if they've got a good enough system, we can actually do end-to-end to 4K, although not with the Macs. But at a minimum, high quality HD. There were a couple of Planetary Society TPS updates that we did from this control room prior to DM2, and those were all done using TrueConf, and it worked really, really well. There are a couple of weird handful of issues, but overall, I think it works better than Zoom did. I think Zoom is a series of compromises. Zoom Rooms makes it a little bit better, but nothing is great when it comes to Zoom. I think with TrueConf, you have fewer compromises. All of these are conferencing systems, right? So I'm compromising something, but I think it worked. I think it worked pretty well on TrueConf itself. So let's see here. So that Macintosh is getting updated. Let's go to the other Mac and just see if it has updates. We'll exit out of. We'll just exit. Cool. We'll hit update. So yeah, this probably has 9 million updates that it needs to apply. What else is not working here? Oh yeah, that's right, the Casper CG media conversion. So Casper CG is the bottom box. And that is this guy, which is going where? It's going up to here, which ties into here, which ties into there. So that's the bottom right-hand corner, and according to you, you have no power. Well, that'll do it. Okay, well, let's try unplugging that and plugging that back in. No wonder it's not coming up. Did that already do the software update? I feel like that did not software update this. This one should have taken a lot longer. Updates. Okay. Cool. Update iMovie. Thanks, Apple. That's great. Software update. All right, we'll do that. Oh, you're still contemplating life. I got it. All right, so second unit over. That's this guy here. All right, unplugged. Plugged back in. Interesting, no power. Got a PoE issue? I do use a ton of PoE on my systems. I just find it to be easier, generally speaking, until something like this happens. And then it is, what's the word? Not easier. Alright, so that's you, that's you. That's... Oh, you know what probably happened? I know what this is. I probably shut down the PoE for this port. Okay. Yeah, and you're going into, yeah, that makes sense. 8, 9. Okay, port 10. So now I'm going to have to come up with the Ubiquity software. Turn on. Okay. This is what happens when you haven't done anything in the studio for 2/3 of a year. Okay. What other questions do we have? Will I ever do a server room rack tour? William asks, I think I did one, didn't I, a little while ago, where I was kind of like showing what it looked like when it was all put together. I don't really have a camera in there, otherwise I'd bring you in there now. I suppose I could like cheat with AirPlay somehow. Let's see here. Let's do unify ubnt. I think this is it. This is where I don't know what the password is. Dear Dashlane, tell me things. Ugh. I realize this is like the most boring live stream ever. Sorry, everyone. Re-enable Face ID. Oh my God. Here's how I know that I got a lot of face work done. Face ID stopped working. All right, this is UBNT. Oh, this is just a crazy password is what this is. Neat. Okay. Did not mean to hit inspector. Thanks. All right. TMRO Studio Network. So here now you can see the, here's our networking interface. This is kind of what I used. Let me just pop over, see if there are any other questions. Are you working your audio through Dante? If yes, how do you find the X32 working through the Dante protocol? X32 is fine with Dante. It's neither good nor bad. It's just fine. I think I prefer the Allen and Heath, or well, I mean, the better one is really the Panasonic stuff. That's really incredible Dante interaction. But Allen and Heath stuff is pretty cool, especially with like their interaction with like the Axient and QLXD microphone systems. Okay, so I need to go to my devices. We need to go to the PoE switch, and then let's see here. I think it's this port here. Is that it? Port 10. Yeah, we need to edit you and allow PoE. I don't remember how to do that. No, I'm pretty sure it was at the port level. Port 10. Okay. Is it config? Config is site-wide. Yeah, I see that you're trying to pull. Okay, did I just miss it? Profile override. No, that's fine. That's fine. Oh, here we go. Oh, PoE plus is on. That's interesting. Is it you then? All right, we're just going to get back out of there, and maybe I mistraced that cable and it's actually this board. Well, it seems like it really wanted to. Okay, so I'm not crazy because that is definitely disabled. PoE plus profile disabled. Yeah, watch me struggle. I feel like you should. What is that symbol? It's PoE plus. Stupid. All right, let's see what you guys are saying. Yeah, if you've got a Yamaha like the TF5 with Dante, it's going to be freaking amazing. It's going to be pretty awesome. Hello, Oliver. I mean, right now you don't really see me, but yeah, good to kind of sort of be back. How in the world did I do this? Services, network, manage device. Nope. Huh. Nope. Nope. Let's go to clients. And no, it's not there. Devices. You. General. That's fine. Ports. Port 10. I could have swore this is where you did it. Do I do it? Like, what am I missing here? Port 1. Let's jump down to, you all seem fine. Port 32. Oh, well, I have that disabled. I'll hit all, see what that does. So port 10 is just not pulling power. Maybe I just need to grab external power for that bad boy. Because switching that other port didn't seem to fix it. Okay, find a power connection. Y'all get to watch me as I do live troubleshooting. How neat is that? This should work about right. It's about the right size. Okay. All right, so not a lot of power handy, but this should work from here. About the right area to there. Does that power it up? Oh, it does not. I have a faulty convert. Oh, it does. With an amber light. With a green light? Okay. Not sure what that just did. This will be interesting. Oh, hey, it did bring it up. Look at this. Yeah, I should fix that. So I need to, this needs to be shifted 9. And that should be social Casper. Where's Casper in here? That's before that. There you are. Cool. Yay! Look at that. Got that back up and running again. Huzzah! Okay. And let's see here. Let's get this, the Casper system. Yeah, don't do any of this. Don't, stop it. Stop it. Stop it, HP. Boo, HP. Okay. So here you go. You can see we're running Casper CG Server 2.3. This is all in 4K mode. Neat. And then normally what I do is I've got this clock here. Thanks, Microsoft. Yes, always use Chrome. I don't want to use Edge. Sure. That's fine. All of this is fine. Go away. Go away. You can see where I was updating Casper CG, updating switching infrastructure. Cool. So then all I do here is one of those. And now you're like, okay, but why? So it's this. The primary purpose of this box is to act as a character generator. But then when you look at my screen now, there we go. So now, like, directly to the left of my view, I can see that it's 1:51 and 40 seconds. And I've got that just kind of like hanging out so that I know when my program needs to start or whatever else is going on. I can also see in these two boxes, there are two TVs out in the observation lounge. I can see what's being routed into each one of the TVs. So I can visually see, here's what's in program, here's what's going to my TVs, here's what the current time is. And then I've got my basic technical director computer that's showing me like, okay, here's where we're at with whatever the program might be. And then on my primary multi-view, which is this guy here, excuse me, I can see all my different cameras, all my different remote guests, my Apple TV, the ISS above, my digital disc recorder, my couple different media players, and the social computer, right? So, and actually that brings up another good point, going back to the ISS above. So actually Shift 8, 10, 9, 8. So Shift 8 should actually be ISS above, and the other one should be the Apple TV. Because not that we don't love the ISS above, but we use that in a more shifted fashion than we do 8. So this should be the Apple TV. There we go. Yeah, and then we're going to give that a color of this like light color. So here's my, yay, now I can bring my Apple TV. I can still get to my ISS above by double clicking. Here's my TD computer. Oops. Here's my TD computer, and then I can shift over and I can get to my Casper CG computer. Here's my social computer, and I don't really have a shift for my social computer because like I don't know that I need one. Yeah, so that's looking pretty good. I got my different multi-views, my different Macs, my super sources, so you can see that they're updating there. Pretty cool updates there. Yeah. Nothing in the B side, Apple TV, TD computer. This is looking really good. Actually, you know what I should do? This is what I do, by the way, like all the time. It's like, okay, I get the board. Now I just sit here and I optimize the crap out of it. So it's like, okay, yeah, I've got these 3 cameras. I got the TD and the producer cam, but realistically, the producer cam should probably sit underneath the TD cam because they're both in the same room, and you're never really gonna, you're almost never gonna go to the producer cam. We don't even have it plugged in. So why is it taking a valuable button on the control surface? I can just shift it underneath there, A, B, C, because I never would really need to go to that in program, I don't think. Yeah, I might do that. Let's see here. Almanox asks, I switched to the new ME2 advanced panel. Yeah, actually, that's what I started the live stream for today. What I did was I pulled out the old panel at the beginning. Actually, if you just rewind this webcast, you'll see that I started with the old panel here, pulled it out, pulled this out of the box, plugged it in, and I've been programming it, kind of getting it ready to go, setting it up, like color, getting the different colors and everything set. Oh yeah, the other nice thing about this panel is that it's got a bunch of different macros, and so you can do, like I've got show prep, I've got different intros, I can exit, just a bunch of different stuff that I can actually have the system run, so I can press one button and a series of commands occur. I usually use that for super sources, so I can actually jump boxes really quickly. But yeah, so like what I'll do is you've got this super source, this big, huge super source here, right? So to control the large box on the left-hand side, what I'll do is I'll create macros on the left directly above camera 1. So if I want camera 1 to go into the big, I'll just press right above camera 1, and it will switch over to camera 1. Same thing with 2, 3, and same thing with TD, and I'll do the same thing with Mac 1, 2, 3, which allows me to very quickly and easily get whatever I need into that particular box. And then usually I use that kind of same input, usually in the left boxes of whatever I'm working on. So I kind of try to make the left boxes all the same and the right boxes all the same. Whenever possible, it depends on the show too. Like some shows have a higher requirement than that. Let's see here. Do I have, what's underneath here? Yeah, can I double shift yet? No, I cannot. Okay, because they allow for double shifted. That doesn't let me do it. My keyer, okay, keyer is not active yet. Yeah, I think we're pretty good here. Yeah. This makes sense. Doing the cut between my show, going to my social stuff. Maybe I need to jump to DDR. I'm wondering if I should move DDR onto this side and just kind of keep the guests over here, but I think not. 1, 2, 3. I can do 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3. Ooh, that would be nice because then all of my people would be over here. 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3. Oh, that is nice. Right? So then my camera shots, including my remote guests, all sit on the left-hand side of the switcher, and then all of my media stuff would sit on the right-hand side of the switcher. I do like that more. That makes a lot more sense to me. So Shift 4 needs to be the producer cam. Cool. And then we're going to go back to, so the producer cam needs to become Mac 1-1. And then 1-2, 1-3, 2-1. I wonder if I should shift that too. Nah, maybe not. 2-2, 2-3. Yeah, that's pretty nice. So now I've got, camera 1, 2, 3, my control room camera, the different Macintosh shots, Each one is color coded, so you can pretty quickly and easily see what goes where, so that I can actually create those macros all in that same area. Alamanjux, I don't know if you're allowed to share, but are you using Blackmagic gear at Company X and can use experiences from there to better tomorrow and vice versa? Yeah, I do. And in fact, I use tomorrow as a testing ground to see what I want to deploy at Company X. Because sometimes I have crazy ideas to make their equipment bleed, and I don't want to necessarily test it at Company X because it's a lot harder to get infrastructure changes done there. But here I own this. I can do whatever I want. I can fail easily in my own control room, in my own studio, because who cares other than me? So I use this as kind of all right, what happens if I do this crazy idea? And I think the biggest crazy idea that has failed thus far is this one, right? So the idea of being able to break apart the screen, those quads at the bottom, right, where I've got one cohesive image that I broke into 4 quad views, and then I can put it back together into the show one at a time. That was kind of like, I still think I can actually make that work, but I haven't actually, it still doesn't work. It needs a little bit more love. But this is where I'll test that. I'm not doing that at Company X yet. But I could someday. Okay, so I got the Macs all over there, which means that when I come over to button 11, this is where I probably want to get, actually I should probably move social here. And then I probably want to move, so TD computer. No, I don't need clean feed. Shush. Okay, multi. Where is that TD computer? Oh, I see. I'm screwing up. Alright, so you're past this. Oh, so that is social computer. So I need social computer, and then I need TD computer. Okay, that makes sense. TD computer, which says, that's TD cam. TD computer, cool. Then actually this might offer me an ability to, let's put the Apple TV back up. And then I might even be able to put the ISS above up as well. We'll make that the same kind of color. All right, so social, TD, Apple TV, ISS above. What am I missing here? Let's do like a media player. Do I need Casper? No. Social I already have. Cam 1, 2, 3, 4. Green room. Media player 1. Media player 2. not going to have enough room, but I could shift the other two, 3 and 4. So I'll just do that. These are all kind of like my media things that are that light blue color. Yeah. Super source is sitting over here. That's a pretty good fill of like what I need to get to. Because like now my social, I've got all my different talent cams kind of sitting on this part of the switcher right over here. And then now I've got like all my different, I got like my social stuff, I've got my technical director stuff to call up really quickly, the Apple TV, the different media players, the ISS above, that all kind of sits over here. And then my super sources are sitting, and the DDR are sitting kind of on the right hand side, which are kind of the odd ducts out. So, you know, it kind of gives me a moment to, like, you can kind of, I don't know, I feel like that just makes it a little bit easier to sort through, understand what's where. Yeah. Makes me happy. I like that. Okay, I think this is about it, unless anyone else has anything else. This is a sleek little setup. The best part about this board, the thing that I think I like the most, is it's smaller than the old board, but actually more powerful. There's a lot more that I can do on this board that I just simply could not do on the older board, but it does it in a smaller footprint. It's easier to read these screens. Oh, a couple of really cool things. So these are, I don't know how I can make this so you can see it easily. I'm going to try to zoom in again, but I'm going to fail here. Okay. All right, so you can sort of see these screens right here, Cam 1 to Cam 2, Cam 3, TD Cam, Mac 1, so forth and so on. And then you can see there's like a dual screen up here, and if I hit the macro button, you can see that some things have popped up over here, right? So those are dynamic screens that actually have the names updated. Here's what's really cool. If you were to open this up, if you open this up, and I know this because I've opened one up. Shh, you're not supposed to. There we go. This is one screen. It's not like a series of 10 different screens. This whole element right here is one screen. This is one screen as well, but here's what's really interesting. It's actually, this is too high. This is also actually too high. They just put this black piece on top of it so that they can use the same part here and here and here and here. All 4 of these screens are actually identical. All they're doing is blanking out the area that you don't have access to, and then putting a piece of clear plastic on top of it so it looks like it's a dedicated screen for that area. So I love that from an engineering standpoint, because what they did was they kept their part count down. And instead of having to have like 4 different types of screen on this panel, it's all the same screen. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 of the exact same screen. And then this screen is the same, I believe. So to be fair, I opened the big version of this, not this version. But I would assume that it's the exact same screen on this as it is on the big version and on the 1ME panel as well. So you've got one part number to kind of rule them all. How cool is that? I thought that was just like brilliant engineering. And then, like, you know, nice button feel. The Blackmagic T-bar feel is okay. I think some of my favorite T-bar feel is on Grass Valley Cayenne. Okay, slight price difference. And then I think my second favorite, although I could be convinced that it is my favorite, is on the Ross switchers. Ross has a nice T-bar feel to it. Like it's just got a nice feel. This isn't bad. Like, this is not a bad T-bar, but it's also not. It's just not the same as It's not the same as a Cayenne. Let's see here. Oh. Almanac says, this view gives me warm, fuzzy memories from the old space vidcast from the back room of the Crow River Coffee Company. Yeah, I know, right? Actually, I think this might be where this would be kind of fun. Like, so if I sort of let's just say I did technical directing for the show as well, and I just kind of faced out this direction, because I can mostly see what I need to do in the show when facing this way. What I would be able to do is kind of like punch the show, right, as necessary, you know, bring up, you know, whatever media player I need to, blah, blah. But then I could interject, right? Oh yeah, that is different. So I would need to, this is Super Source 2. And I would need to go to my super source 2. Box 1 is ME3. That's why. Ooh. There we go. That's what's up with that. And then box 2 would be like Mac 1. Sure, we'll do that. Okay, that's fair. Something like that. And then ME3, I could very quickly and easily. There we go. Okay. So I've got all my Macs are back up to date, it looks like. I do need to run a Zoom Room update, I believe. I should actually do that right now. I'll just keep going. How long have I been on the air here? Who knows? God, it's been over an hour. Sorry, everyone, for being so freaking boring for over an hour. All right, let's do a Zoom Room update if I can, because they've been yelling at me for that. Let's try this again. Really? And Zoom. There you are. Ugh, gross. Okay. Then you need to be. What? One more time. There we go. Room management. Zoom rooms. Here you go. I have this capability now. Zoom rooms. Do I need to do any updates? Okay. Oh, you know what? I might need to update from the iPads. Is that what I need to do? Let's try that. Install that later. Install tonight. Okay, neat. Zoom room. I'll bring you back here. Actually, you probably want to be here. Okay, so I need to update. Search for Zoom. Okay, so I do need to do it from here. Zoom room 1. Let's go to here again. See if you can follow along. Somewhere in here, I have the ability to, oh, here we go. Upgrade. Upgrade. Okay. Zoom rooms, and then Zoom room 2. Upgrade. Upgrade. And now, if I go back to like my super source, and then I go back to super source 1, here we go. So this one should go first. Actually, let's see here. Let's go to box 1. I'm just going to do this live on, oh, is it actually ME3? All right, so cool. So then, neat. So now, Each one of those should, in theory, actually I wonder if I can, I don't know if this will fit very well. So in theory, that's Zoom Room 2. We want Zoom Room 1. Cool. So as it's doing that upgrade, well, that's terrible. As it's doing that upgrade right there, it should automatically start to show stuff on the right-hand side. Let's drop my camera over here because that's stupid. Okay. Let's see here. Oliver asks, is the studio actually being used lately? Yeah. So Jared does space news from the studio every week. Like, you'll see him go out there. Now, he doesn't use it in a live fashion, but he does use the set, and the set is the larger. Like, this is a pretty small room as compared to the set. So I could argue that a majority of the studio is, in fact, being used. But, I mean, you're not wrong. A majority of it, space-wise, is being used, but the live infrastructure certainly costs the most. And no, it's not being used right now. We talked about that a little bit earlier, so if you want to jump back in the live stream and kind of talk about like what my plans are. It's obviously not dead. I just invested in a brand new panel, right? So like we've upgraded the panel. I'm kind of making sure that the control room stays online in a ready to go state. So stuff is coming along, but like I still need more time. Realistically, we're looking at April 2021. Hello, Deepod Dolphin. A new show tomorrow, Inco. William asks, how's the audio from the mic packs, my mic pack, being routed back to the Mac's TrueConf caller so that the TrueConf callers can hear? That's being done through the X32. So we've got on all of my Macintosh, whatever those are. So on each one on all of these Zoom Room 1, Zoom Room 2, so Mac 1-1 is one Macintosh, and 1-1, 1-2, and 1-3 is one singular Mac Mini, and 2-1, 2-2, 2-3 is a secondary Mac Mini. Each one of them has Dante Virtual Sound Card installed. And then what that allows me to do is route audio from the X32 back into those systems. And so then I can actually tell TrueConf or Zoom Rooms, hey, your microphone input is actually this Dante Virtual Sound Card. And then over here, I've got on these send buses, I think it's this send bus right here, buses 1 and 2, I believe. God, is it send buses? Those are my auxes. Anyway, I'm pretty sure it's on send buses. Oh, it must be because I can see it sending right now. On send buses 1 and 2, I'm actually sending back to those computers as mix minus audio. So if I select yeah, how do I do that on this board? Because I'm so used to doing it on the Avantis now that I've forgotten how to do my routing on a mix bus. I do that setup, I do that home. Let's see here, mute groups. Okay, so I'd select this. It's not in a DCA, but I can do, how do I select my mix bus? No. This is why I prefer the Allen and Heath interface. I think it's way more, anyhow, regardless. Each one of my bus outputs, so bus 1 goes back to the first Mac Mini, and it's got the full mix minus, so it does not get the Mac back into itself. And then bus 2 goes back to computer 2. Again, same deal, does not get it back into itself. And then if necessary, it can actually go in and really quickly remove. So if I've linked Mac 1 and Mac 2 to the same conference, I don't want to be sending that audio to both of them, because then it can try to transmit it to both groups incorrectly. So you got to remove it from one of them, if that makes sense. So it's all done through the X32 is effectively what I'm getting at. Don't worry about being boring. I think it's very relaxing, not like a fully produced show. Yeah, I mean, this is like me on Saturday after a launch, coming in, hooking up a board, stepping through, upgrading the Zoom Rooms software. Which, speaking of, where did that go? How are you doing? You're still contemplating life? Why are you taking so long to contemplate life? Yeah, okay, whatever. So yeah. MS Mujendi, Jamie, it's great to see you streaming again. Yeah, it's just a temporary thing. I was here anyhow, and I realized that I was going to be here just kind of dorking around for a bit, and I hadn't had a chance to see you guys. So I figured I'd stream on my own personal channel. You can see my face is pretty beaten up, so I'm not super comfortable being on camera, but at the same time, like, I don't really care. I think I'm not uncomfortable being on camera on my own personal channel that's about me. I am uncomfortable being on camera on a channel that's about the cosmos. There is a distinction there, right? So I know that this is part of the process. This is how it looks. I'm fine with you guys seeing me this way. I don't want this to be part of the conversation on tomorrow. I don't want people to look at me and then be turned off of tomorrow because they see my face like bloody and gory and horrible and be like, what is this person doing? Why are they on camera? So there is a difference between the shows, and like, that's why I'm here, not there. Is your Dante audio on the same network that everything else? Does that work out okay? I thought you would have to put Dante in a separate network to use it as stable. Nope. We have so we don't have a lot of Dante channels. If I were to open up Dante controller, let's see here. You can see, it's probably going to be like, you need to update. See, there you go, you need to update. We'll go ahead and do that too. That's what we're doing today. There's not a whole lot, right? So I've got the main X32 mixer, which only has a few channels, although some of them are offline. Okay, that makes sense. That makes sense. Oh, my VCOM interface is down, that's why, okay. I've got the Constellation system, which is just, actually, this is just a Avio, Dante Avio unit. And then I've got my Electrosonics IFB system. I got my two Macintoshes. And then I've got this Social CG system. This is using Dante Via. And then this is Axient system. All right, we'll go ahead and install that update. Yay, this is probably going to give me Dante Domain Manager, which I don't need or use here. Huzzah! Ooh, I don't like that. What's going on here? Oh, I'm fanning out in the audio mixer. But where? Why? All right, so fan out indicates I'm sending it to like too many places. So I need to set up multicast streaming. And I thought I would have. Yeah, I know. I get that. I want you to tell me where it's where is it occurring? All right, that's fine. I don't care. When did that happen? That's today. All right, so routing, audio mixer. Oh, wow, I don't have. Really? I didn't label this? How am I thinking? Okay, gracefully closed, gracefully closed. Got it, got it. Yeah, neat. Okay, so, did I label it here? I must not have. All right, so if that's the case, then who's going into where? Oh, interesting. So we're going to label some of this. We're going to call this, so 5 is 05. 05 is Mac 1 mix minus. 06 is Mac 2 mix minus. Yes, minus is spelt with an X. Stop judging me. All right, where does 1 go? Oh, you know what? I know where these go. There's my IFB. Yep, they go to 1 and 2. So we're going to call this IFB, oops, 01 IFB talent 1, 01 IFB talent 2, 03 IFB talent 3. This makes much more sense. 04 IFB talent 4. There is no 3 or 4, so there's no routes active on those two yet. And what else do we have? 17. Where are you going? What are you routed to? You're not routed back onto yourself? Nope. Okay, you're not routed down here. TD compute. Oh, you know what you are? No, you're not. Oh, you might be. VCOM. Yeah. Okay. Able to connect to a virtual matrix. Okay. So I'm going to turn off login automatically. We'll edit you. Dante Via. Okay, so that's the TD computer. Here we go. But you're not coming back to me. You're going to 7 is going to Google Chrome. Oh, you know what this is? This is 07 TD computer left. 08 TD computer right. I should have just done L and R, but whatever. Yeah, this is just too long. T L, that's much easier. Comp R, there you go. Where is 17 connecting? What does that flow look like? Is it? It's not you. So yeah, that all makes sense. And it just might be just like dummy flows. Okay, cool. Watch me like troubleshooting my own work from ages ago. All right, get some questions in here. DiMarcio, am I the former Ben Credible on Reddit? Yes. So transitioning from male to female, which is why my face is all jacked up right now. Just got out of facial feminization surgery. Voice is all kind of jacked up right now too. I did, actually I haven't talked about this yet on this webcast. Did a couple things. They cut open my scalp from here, kind of back and then down to my ears, pulled back my face, shaved down the brow bone to get rid of that kind of brow bone area and kind of smooth out this whole section. So this should be nice and smooth now when all the swelling goes down. And then when they stitched it back up, they actually pulled the hairline down and advanced my hairline. So they reconstructed my hairline to give it a more feminine feel, although they didn't have quite enough to be able to do this area here. So I'm going to have to do hair transplants over here to fill in this area. Maybe not so much on this area, maybe a little bit in this area, but I don't think I need to come down too much further. Just a little bit to cover the scars, but that's about it. And then working our way down, they took fat out of my abdomen and moved it up into my cheeks, although this is all still so swollen that you can't see any of that yet. They did rhinoplasty at the very end of my nose. They actually dropped the bottom part of my nose and then tipped my nose up a little bit. They reduced the distance from the bottom of my nose to the top of my lip by pulling my lip up. This is still very swollen and actually kind of hard to move, but this swelling should come down, so it won't quite look, I don't think it'll be quite that big. No work on my bottom lip whatsoever. This is the natural shape of my bottom lip. Then they took my chin, they broke my chin, brought that area together to reduce its size, and they did that from the inside of the mouth. And then also on the inside of the mouth, they went through and they shaved the bone on the side of the jaw here, on either side, to contour my jaw back down. That hurts a lot. The jaw work is quite intense. But I think it'll all be worth it. I've got about 4 to 6 months of face healing to go. Old name was Benjamin, which was Ben Credible, and then new name is Jamie, Jami, which is actually just if you look at Benjamin, Benjamin, Jamie was there the whole time. Deepod Dolphins, how does Casper render RGB alpha? Are the RGB and alpha channels on separate outputs into the board? Yes, they are. So if I don't think I have anything handy right now to be able to show you, but that's exactly how it works. You have to get a supported card, ideally. So I just have a supported Decklink card because, Blackmagic here. And what it does is it looks at the fill channel and it looks at the alpha channel. It spits out two different SDI ports. And then on the switcher, I tell it this input is the fill channel. This input is the key channel. This is a pre-multiplied mat. Figure out how to put it up with layers of transparency. And the board will figure it out for me. So I don't have to do any chroma key. It does 256 levels of translucency from completely opaque to all the way transparent and everything in between. And then all of the different color. And then Casper CG spits all of that out in real time. It's pretty cool. Now you mentioned RGB, but it's actually not that would be RGBA. We actually do YUV. Generally speaking, I run in a YUV color space as opposed to an RGB color space. RGB would be for computers. YUV would generally speaking be for video. What need do you see to possibly add Studio Intercom, if any? What are you planning to do? So actually, you have a Studio Intercom, which is what I was trying to bring up earlier. We have something called Intracom, Intracom Systems. Not that. I don't remember my port is the only problem, and it's not. Hang on. Let's try this email. We'll search. I just need the port number. I have to spell it correctly. All right, so then I have to go here. So then why does that not work? Anyhow, okay, so here's my intercom system. It's actually all web-based, which is really, really cool. So you can just kind of drop this into whatever browser you want. It actually also supports, this is a really cool intercom system, by the way. So I've got my producer line, so if I want to talk on it, I don't think I have any devices on this, so it's going to be all pissed off now that I've tried to click on something. Yeah, I know, you don't have any, I know. Oh, you get the idea. Actually, I might have a webcam. No, I don't. So you just click on talk or listen over here, and I can actually get a bunch of different stuff kind of programmed into this panel. And then I actually have a interface. Oh man, I really worked up. Oh, that's really bad. Well, that's okay. I actually should still keep streaming as long as I'm still broadcasting, I think. Yeah, hopefully that never disconnected. Is Jamie wishing Ben was better at documenting his work? Yeah, sometimes. Like this, I always label this stuff. I don't understand why I didn't label this. Like this should be labeled too. I don't understand what I was thinking. But I mean, I went to the trouble of like labeling this. And when you look at my work, if you were to drop into Company X right now and open up Dante, every single one of these things would be properly labeled across the board. I don't understand why I didn't do it here. Maybe because I figured it was just so small that who cares. Okay, so let's go back to VCOM again. Let's try to figure out like, oh, you know what? Maybe it's Dante Via. Maybe why you're angry. No, you all look correct. You look happy. You look like you're able to connect. Okay, we're gonna. You get to watch me troubleshoot this now. So what this is is this is an interface into that web-based matrix that I was showing you earlier. And what this allows me to do is, so I've got Dante Via on this computer, and I'm feeding it back from the board itself. And so I can actually take those Dante connections and send them into my web-based intercom system, which allows me to do some pretty cool things realistically, right? So I can actually do, I've got my producer line, and I can actually link it into, you know, my computer itself or the audio mixer. But more importantly, I can actually also take my TrueConf or Zoom rooms and their outputs, and I can link it into this, and I can actually get the input back from the board into this system. So that allows me to effectively create an IFB system using just this back to my talent. All right, let's configure. Oh, you know, that might be right. Yeah, that seems right. Let's just search for. Okay. Mm-hmm. Yeah. Let's try this. Okay. All right. So they just move things around, which I suppose is, oh, I'm already logged in. No, I'm not already logged in. Uh-huh. Maybe I need a software update. We're going to do this. Yes. And then we're going to do this. Huh. Yeah, but you are a different user. Okay. You know what? Let's do this. Let's go back to the web interface and see if they move things around, shall we? Yay. We'll go here. System information. Where's my, I don't actually know where this is. See here. Yeah, that's correct. Client audio, yeah. All right, I mean, that should have been, so, I think it's what I had before. Neat. Okay, so that's fun. Here's what I'm going to try doing. Well, now I got to change my admin password too, but whatever. Why would they display that in plain text? That's dumb. Let's see here. Although no one cares. Okay. How would I compare the VCOM system with the RTS systems used at SpaceX? I would, I think, well, I mean, they're very different, right? So hardware, I mean, I'm not going to really say anything about SpaceX, but I'll say that a hardware comm system is very different than a web-based comm system. there are huge advantages to being able to do things in a browser, but then there are also huge advantages to having a hardware dedicated panel. The nice thing about both is that they both use Dante. And so I can get both in and out of my audio board, and I can do really cool audio foldover because of that. And I don't have to do all of this weird analog conversion. So I like both. Obviously, for my own needs, rather than running like an Odin, I run VCOM. But like when you're thinking about something the scale of SpaceX, or even the scale of a larger broadcast room, you know, VCOM may or may not work. But you start talking about some of these shows that we're doing where, especially in a COVID world where you need to be able to get intercom to a bunch of different people around the planet, I'm going to take VCOM over RTS because they can route stuff around the world really quickly and easily. I can still do it with RTS, but I need a whole lot of hardware to make it happen. Same thing with ClearCom, right? You can do it with ClearCom, but you need a whole bunch of hardware and conversion gear to make it happen. But with Intercom, it's just a web browser. There's an app for it too, so you can just use that if you wanted to. So it's yeah, I think overall this is kind of where things are moving towards, but there's a latency issue. When you've got like if you're in a video control room and you've got a technical director sitting here, and you got AP probably behind them, and then producer and AP sitting behind them, and you're all kind of like next to each other, and then you start talking, and you hear the voice going behind you, and then a split second later you hear it in your ear. That's actually very distracting. Latency matters. Milliseconds matter, kind of like millimeters matter in the forehead. And so it all depends on your scenario. But in this control room, where I don't have a temporal reference for all of the other people talking, it doesn't matter. Like, I don't know that you're 30 milliseconds delayed. I have no way of knowing that, none whatsoever. And so it's low latency enough where it works really, really well. And I can use it to talk directly into my TrueConf system. I can talk directly into my Zoom room system. And I'm able to get my social team on the same thing, so they can listen to what's going on in the control room. They have contextual awareness. Like, it's actually pretty cool. So again, it all kind of depends on your needs. Am I still enjoying a partnership with Blackmagic or buying everything else? Oh, so I bought this out of pocket. So this was 100% out of my own pocket. I could have asked them for it for free, but like, I feel bad doing that, right? Like, I don't want to just take advantage of the relationship. I think that's really crappy. I do my best to give them as much information and feedback, like real, not like I hate this type feedback, but like sometimes what they build inspires me, and I can look at something and I can go, you know what? If it was just 20% more this direction, imagine what I would be able to do. And I give them that kind of feedback of like, these are things that work really, really well. Being able to color code these things on this panel works really, really well. It helps a lot. Like you can clearly see just by looking at it, this is different. There's something unique about this button and this button over here. They're different. They're a different color, and your eye is drawn to it. That's exactly like when you're working a live shoot, especially on this is a smaller panel, but especially on a larger panel, you need to be able to go and go, oh hey, my Zoom room must be working because that popped up. You need to be able to very quickly look down and go, where do I need to go? And like be able to pop, and so color coding matters. These nice clean screens, they matter. Being able to do these macros like this, that matters. Like the work, there's a thought that goes into this workflow, and so I do whatever I can to help them with that. Obviously, I don't necessarily get the product in advance, but like being able to say, hey, in your next iteration, if you could do something like this, that would be great. Stuff and things. Kelly says, you've changed your hairstyle. It's been a while since I was able to last watch. I have changed my hairstyle out of necessity. I'll probably go back when I'm able. So because of the facial feminization surgery, you know, they pulled all of this skin away. They literally peeled back my face to get down to the bone underneath, which means that I can't feel this. All of the nerve endings have been damaged, right? So I can't feel my hand until right here. I literally feel nothing until I'm back all the way here. The problem is, you have to be, I'm only 2 weeks post-surgery. And so if I were to comb my hair backwards, I could actually do bad things to some of these stitches, right? The other thing is, I would not be able to feel myself if I were burning myself, right? So if I were flat ironing my hair, which is what I had been doing, and I really liked that look, it like gave my hair a lot of really nice volume. But if I were to do that, I could seriously burn my scalp, like damage that skin pretty badly, and have no idea that I was doing it, because I literally can feel nothing there. And so they're like, yeah, no heat, no heat for a while. Alaminox says, I remember you using and liking the Blackmagic Studio cameras. Are they still all you need, or would you upgrade functionality for, say, an Ursa broadcast? So, yeah, I would love Ursas in TMRO. So what I would really like, so I actually do use the Ursas in other things in my life. And I use the SMPTE hybrid backpacks and the SMPTE hybrid camera control units. Which is really nice, because then it's just one cable that plugs into your camera that supplies it with power. Oh, Carrion landed. Awesome. Awesome. Hang on. Awesome. And she just got done with her parabolic flight. It supplies 3 channels of return video to the camera, 4K video off the back end of the camera, and power to the camera, plus intercom, like everything you would want it to be, on the back of just about all of their Ursas, right? It can't do the brand new like 12K Ursa or whatever they got. I mean, I suppose it could, but there's no color corrector on board, so like I can't use that in live. But it's pretty cool. It's pretty nice, and I like that a lot. The downside is it gets really expensive very quickly, right? So their $3,500 camera suddenly becomes a $10,000 camera, even before you put glass on it. And so really you're looking at like a $20,000 camera. Well, that would be $60,000 just in our main studio area, and I don't have that kind of budget. So instead we use the studio cameras, and we use the 4K versions, and the entire show is actually shot in 4K, for better or worse, it just is. And also because I wanted to play in 4K, if we're being honest. And those work really well for me. Like the picture's a little noisy. This is one of the micro studio. This is the live micro studio camera, and it's also 4K. It's a little dark right now because I brought it down so you can see the board. But if I were to bring up some of the brightness here, you'll see it's a little bit noisy, but it's not too bad. And of course, this is getting downscaled to 1080p before it hits you. I still don't understand why this doesn't work. Oh yeah, I was going to do a software update. So like all depends on what you're doing. If I had an unlimited budget, no questions asked, I would absolutely do the Ursas. I think I prefer the pros over the broadcasts. There's something to be said, like, okay, if I've got like $200,000 B4 box lenses, then yeah, I'm doing a broadcast. But if I don't, and I have to buy my glass, I might be okay. Depends on the event. I might be okay. Canon has some parafocal EF glass that's a little slow. It's T44, but it's like 18 to 80 from a zoom standpoint, and they've got another one that's like 80 to 120. I don't remember. I might do that. But if I could get a really great box lens, broadcast all day long. Fiber backpacks. What's nice is that the ATEM Mini can use a full-size panel. Actually, what I really like about the ATEM line is that it's all interchangeable, realistically, right? If I wanted to use this panel on like an ATEM Pro type thing, I think I can. I think I can actually connect it to... I don't know why you would want to. That would be crazy. The other nice thing is that like I can get even like another small panel. Like I can get the 2ME control surface and like a 1ME sitting over here, all connected to the same constellation. What I can't do, at least what I don't know how to do, is I don't know how to peel off. Actually, yeah, let's take some of these brightnesses. Oh, so much better. Okay, that's better. Take the screens down. That's better. Much less headache inducing. I don't know if I can do, yeah. If I do this, will it break off just the top ME, or is it going to break the whole thing? Nope, breaks the whole thing. Ooh. Don't know how I did that, but cool, came back. So it'd be nice if I could break this off and say, okay, this goes to one switcher and this goes to a second switcher, but I can't do that today as far as I know. Yes, it's hard to see hair in this low light. It's just long and straight, right? I can't do much to it because I have to apply. I'm like lidocaine. No. What is it called? Neosporin to the stitches. And that neosporin, because the stitches are in the hairline, gets in my hair, which then weasels its way throughout into my hair throughout the day, making my hair look wet. So I'm a hot mess right now. Where could you put a lighting director in that small control room? That's funny. That's funny. Mungdi says, Jamie, I really appreciate that you share some of the difficulties of transition, but I don't think anyone has made the challenge of it sound so frightening. Inspiring nonetheless. Well, it shouldn't be frightening. Hopefully I'm not making it sound frightening. Like, I'm describing what the surgical procedure is, and like, yeah, I mean, they're peeling back my face, and then they're popping off my skull, and they're shaving it down, and they're putting titanium bits back in. But it is just a cosmetic surgery. It was a same-day surgery. I did all of this work in my face in 8 hours. Now, there's a lot to heal in my face, and I'm working on it. Like, there's a lot going on in the nose. There's a lot going on in the lip, a lot going on up here. You know, and that's all going to take some time, right? That was a lot of stuff that happened in my body. But not that much time, right? Like, this was 2 weeks ago that I had the surgery. 2 weeks later, I'm sitting here after having my skull popped off and put back on. 2 weeks later, not even 2 weeks, actually it'll be 2 weeks this coming Tuesday, so a week and a half later, here I am sitting with you, installing a brand new video switcher. Well, the control surface at least, right? I mean, how cool is that? Smoke sale, oh hey, control room, yeah. And new control surface. What MTF uses, Micro Four Thirds lenses am I using? I use the Olympus lenses, and I've got some fairly wide ones on these cameras. I think 14 to 40, I think is what they're not super wide, but let's see here. D. Carmicho, how supportive have your management and coworkers been in your transition? Super supportive. The nice thing about Company X is that actually everyone in my life has been super supportive. My family, my friends, my coworkers, everyone. I'm very lucky with that in that regard, that I'm able to do what I need to do for me, and they support me in whatever way they can, and they actually, I would say, actively help me in whatever way they can. Company X doesn't care about stuff like that. Company X wants you to Company X wants to go to Mars. They want you to bring your best game forward. They don't care about anything other than you being your best. Just be great at what you do. That's all they want. Nothing else matters. And so that's just fantastic from my regard. Like, the best idea always wins. And so if I'm sitting there going, look, I'm going to transition genders, they're like, cool, we'll still be your best. Just be your best. So, yeah, it's been really great. Deepa Dolphin says, the only thing I don't like about OBS, only one thing? Jeez. Is that you can have only one multi-view window of 8 or 24 scenes, not multiple different windows, which would be very helpful. Yeah, so I have found, so OBS, I will sometimes use OBS as a video encoder, but I generally don't, and maybe as a master control switcher, but I generally don't use it as a full-on switcher. OBS is a very powerful, amazing suite, and it's free, and like you can do a lot of really great things. And you can crash it by breathing on it wrong. When I'm in the middle of a broadcast, I don't want it to crash. Straight up, don't want it to crash. So I just don't trust software-based switchers. I haven't found one that I can fully trust yet. So I prefer like hardware-based switchers that are purpose-built for that particular task. Now, that's not to say that they're still really great. I can look at a NewTek video toaster, or I'm sorry, a NewTek TriCaster, and it's like the worst of both worlds. They've gotten a lot better, to be fair. They have gotten a lot better, but I can still crash them. And as soon as I can start to crash your infrastructure, I don't try. Like, how can I trust you with 100,000 people watching my event concurrently, right? So it just makes it scary for me. Smoke Scale, it's been a hot minute since I've seen these streams in a while. Yeah, it's been a hot minute since I've been on it. Yeah. Oh, I can't feel my scalp to here. Yeah, okay, so the reason I can't feel my scalp to here is because they pulled it back, right? Those nerve endings have to reestablish their connection with my brain. It will, but it will take a couple of months. So this is not a permanent change. There are other things that will potentially occur that are side effects of the surgery. One of them is shock hair loss. This was a very large surgery where they pulled back the skin and they did a whole bunch of stuff. So, you know, that can shock the hair, and the hair can then fall out, and I can end up with bald spots kind of up front. Those are also temporary. Shock hair loss, your hair will regrow. So it's not like, oh my God, these are permanent, you know, what is going to happen? It's like, oh, this is a minor temporary inconvenience. Like I can't really do much with my nose right now because of all the work they did in it. Minor temporary inconvenience. Like I couldn't smile at all up until like 2 days ago, and now I can partially smile. But again, that's like all of this swelling coming down, the muscles getting used to what, it's just a process. All of transition is a process. Yeah, great to see that you prove that these things are challenges and not insurmountable barriers. Oh yeah, it's not even a challenge. It's just like knowing that this is it's a temporary side effect. That's all this is. It's a temporary side effect. Kelly asks, how much benefit would you see by upgrading 8K since most people still don't have 4K and the bandwidth needed to push 8K is massive? Heck, I just bought my first 4K TV. Zero benefit at this time. I just don't see it. I see the Constellation 8K really as being an in-venue thing. If you've got a giant LED wall and you need to push a lot of like really high resolution content to the LED wall, this box can do that in 8K. That's the real solution I see for behind 8K. There's also, well, I suppose technically not. This is the control surface, but you get the idea. There are also unique situations with VR where 8K might make sense, especially live. But I'm not really seeing, like, I don't believe VR will take off until they can get rid of the hardware that sits on top of your face, which means some sort of implant or some sort of a virtualized room, kind of like a holodeck. That's where 8K starts to matter. Until then, no. And actually, like, all of this is being done in 4K right now, but you're watching this in 1080p or lower, right? So yeah, I mean, it's just understanding, like, a lot of these things don't actually fundamentally matter. And I don't know that we will upgrade to 4K for tomorrow's shows because latency is more important than resolution. And the moment I go to 4K, I go to a much higher latency. And I want that live, real interaction much more than I want the higher resolution. Are the after effects from after surgery, swelling or other, that makes your face so round? Or is it part of the feminization? Oh, no, that's the swelling, right? So you can actually, I don't know which way to see it. So you can actually see where it kind of like starts to jettison out. This is all still very swollen. This is all going to come in quite a bit. And then you're going to start to see, like, this is all still very swollen. And it's going to take months for that swelling to go down. Because the swelling isn't just water. And I'm also very swollen under my eyes and above my eyes as well. Oh, and like on my eyebrows, like that's all very, very swollen still. A lot of that is, so again, they were doing like bone work down here, and that can create, as I understand it, that can create scar tissue. That scar tissue is temporary, but it also swells out the area. So it built up the scar tissue very rapidly to kind of repair the area. And now over time, it's going to rebuild kind of those muscle connections, and the scar tissue is going to go down, but that takes several months to occur. I love how your stream has a mix of media geeks, camera geeks, rocket nerds, and people talking about transition, how those diagrams manage to overlap or not. Yeah, I mean, it's all interesting stuff though, right? What you actually just said is a bunch of engineers. Right? So you've got video engineers, rocket engineers, computer engineers, and then I would say that I'm almost bioengineering myself, right? I'm re-engineering myself to the way I want to be. So it's all just a theme of engineering. Wouldn't you need an oomphy PC to run VR, not a Mac? I think you'd be surprised at what a Mac can do. There's a reason that a lot of the professionals don't use PCs. when you go into large recording studios, you're not going to see, like, even large video control rooms, you don't see PCs running things, you see Macs. When you need to really seriously run real power through systems and understand that specs are only part of it, right? The bigger number isn't the entire equation. You got to get all of this stuff through the entire pipeline. That's where Windows fundamentally fails, although Linux tends to do better. So you'll also see, especially in large rendering farms, Linux workstations, but you won't see Windows. You will sometimes see Macintosh, but you won't see Windows. So when it comes to really stupid high-end stuff, it's generally not Windows. I'm using broad strokes. It can be Windows. It generally isn't. Because it's more than just megahertz. It's more than just how many teraflops your GPU can do. It's how they all coordinate and talk to each other and what that pipeline looks like. So when it comes to VR, you actually have a pretty decent pipeline on a Macintosh, especially on these devices. Now, I don't know that you could do it in 8K, but like Apple Silica I'm beyond excited for the Apple Silica Macintoshes. I think that's going to be like the first iteration, blah, blah, but that's going to just be absolutely incredible. So yeah, I mean, you're going to need some pretty powerful stuff. Oh, hello, Tim Dow, the Everyday Astronaut. Also, wouldn't only the big named LED wall support 8K? Barcode, Christie, planar, so forth and so on. Not necessarily, no. So LED walls are a function of dot pitch and number of screens, right? So if you've got a high dot pitch monitor, say 0.9 millimeters, and you've got a very large video wall, suddenly you've got a very large resolution. And now it's all about your video controller able to drive that amount of resolution. You can, of course, scale 4K up to drive that dot pitch, but if you don't need to, how cool is that? Implant, does someone have inside Neuralink secrets? No, I have nothing like that. Kelly says, thanks for explaining the 4K, 8K issues. So proud of you for living your truth and being willing to share and transition. By the way, greetings from the Netherlands. Well, hello. Hello from the United States. Yeah, this is just who I am. It's part of being me, and I think, as I was mentioning earlier, I think all of this engineering is interesting. Rocket engineering is really interesting. Video engineering, I think, is very interesting. Computer engineering is also interesting. And then like bio and social engineering, because it's a little bit of both of those when it comes to transition, I think is also very interesting. I personally find it fascinating. Oops, sorry, I didn't mean to hit the microphone again. So I am very open and willing to, if someone asks me a respectful question, no matter how personal or how deep it goes, as long as they meant it with genuine curiosity, like that's how engineers are. Engineers just want information. I'm more than happy to share that information. Now, it's when people get insulting and they're clearly trying to get to an answer for some sort of religious or political belief. Okay, I know part of that. But 99% of the people I'm around are engineers. So that almost never happens. It really only happened like once or twice on Twitter. I know the Oculus Link technology will not work on Mac OS. Yeah, so now you're talking consumer side. But what's really interesting is a lot of the VR stuff is actually generated on a Mac first. Now, I'm not saying that Mac is end-all be-all or that like it's better than anything else. I'm just saying that use the tool that fits the situation, right? And don't just go knocking one or the other because of some sort of weird number or some sort of it's got it better something here. Look at the whole workflow. You'll note I'm running Windows on some of these systems. I'm running Macintosh on some of these other systems. I'm running Linux on other systems. I'm running Pi on other systems. I don't really care. Neither should you. You should pick whatever platform makes sense. End statement. Can you please tell your friends at Blackmagic to not focus on stupid high-end stuff? I like the stupid high-end stuff. Look at this. Isn't this great? This is nice. Also, you probably want one of those Ursa 12K cameras. Imagine shooting through your telescope, raw, 12K, high frame rate. And actually, Tim Dodd, the Everyday Astronaut. Here's what I think. Here's where I think Blackmagic is different. They kind of do go from. They do a little bit go from consumer to pro, with a little bit in the prosumer market. But where they're fundamentally different is they actually take the price point of this professional gear and bring it down to a prosumer level. And so now, instead of having to buy kind of half-ass shitty prosumer gear, you can, at that same price, effectively buy professional gear. And you can do all the stuff that the professionals can do. The only downside is it's making some assumptions that you are, in fact, a professional and know how to use all those extra features. But that's why I really love Blackmagic, is because, like, this is an incredible control surface that I got for not a lot of money. That whole video switcher is 40 inputs 4K for less than 20 grand. Like, way less than 20 grand. Holy crap, dude. And most people don't even need that. I just got that because, like, I go big or go home. Like, what you can do, like, that's like it or not, that is prosumer pricing. If you're going for like 40 inputs of 4K at 16 grand, that's prosumer pricing. That's not broadcast pricing. You got to add a 0 to go into broadcast pricing or professional. I'd be concerned about application vendor support with Apple Silica. Oh yeah, totally. Absolutely. Out of the gate, it's going to be a mess. It's going to be absolute nightmare, but it's so much fun. What made me decide on the Behringer X32 versus the Allen Heath SQ series? Okay, so if I could do it all over again, I would do the Allen and Heath. I might even go so far as the Allen and Heath Avantis. Because the Avantis with the D-Live plugin pack, I'm so sorry, it's still hard to talk. With the D-Live plugin pack is quite powerful. I will say I've run into a few stability issues with it, and we had a bit of a scare on a couple of broadcasts. But nothing that's made it to air, which is important rule number 1. Excuse me, and I can any operator, any A1 can sit down in front of my Avantis, spend 10 minutes on the board, and fully understand how that thing works. And they can be digging deep into multi-band EQ-based compression, right? So I really like the Allen and Heath stuff. I decided on the X32 because we had, why did I do this? Oh, I know why. Because I wanted to see if I could use this at Company X. Remember how I said that I test gear at TMRO first to see if it will work over at Company X? This was a test. This did not pass the test. This is okay and acceptable here at TMRO, but barely. Also does not have the stability or kind of the user interface that I need to bring in like kind of the caliber of A1 that we tend to bring in at Company X. It worked. But not well enough. And that's when I went, okay, this won't work for Company X, and I kind of moved on. But it still worked here, so I have it deployed here. Mugendi. Okay, I will try to remember that. Phone No Reason says, I love the thought of bioengineering. It's a perfect way to describe the process. It is both bio and social engineering, right? Because gender is more than just biology. It's also the social side of it as well. Arguably more the social side than the other side. The really interesting thing, as just an aside, is prior to facial feminization surgery, even when I did my hair up, I would say I had about a 70% hit rate as female or so, rough guess. Now, I don't ever tell anyone my pronouns, and I do that because I'm an engineer and I want the data. So if I tell you I would prefer she, her, hers, that's fine, but now I don't know what you were actually going to say. I don't know what your initial reaction was, so I don't know how I'm doing in transition. So if you say he, him, his, refer to me with male pronouns, I don't get insulted. I just look at that and go, okay, I have more work to do. And for some people, if I knew that I could trust them, they wouldn't get insulted or get freaked out, I'd be like, okay, you pegged me as male. Do you mind if I ask why? And then I would gather that data and go, okay, these are things that I need to change. That is part of how I got to facial feminization surgery first. I actually wanted to do my surgeries almost inverted. I wanted to do what we'll call bottom surgery, GRS surgery first, and then kind of like let that heal because that takes a hot minute, and then kind of loop around and work my way up the body because I thought that that's what would make the most sense. Having done kind of this social engineering project and talking to people, I realized actually no, millimeters matter. It's all about this. It's actually about this region right here that a lot of people seem to focus on it. A lot of people couldn't put their finger on it, but it seems to be like this spot right here and my voice. Those are the two dead giveaways. Obviously, voice is broken right now because everything is swollen and it's very difficult for me to raise my voice back up. And it's very difficult for me to hit the tongue in the correct area that I'm supposed to hit. That will come back with time, probably less than a month. However, with just this, if I don't say anything and I'm just walking around, I think so far I have 99 to 100% female peg rate. So I have not been called he, him, his since I've come back to California. Not one single time. And I haven't been here very long, so I'm sure it will happen. But I thought that that was interesting, that like, oh wow, even with this really swollen face, everyone is assuming that I'm female, which is exactly where I want to go. So that's been great for me because that's what I want to do. Now, as soon as I talk, you can see a moment of confusion on their face because I'm incapable of currently raising my voice up. But yeah. The Tomorrow crowd is not your standard YouTube or Twitch crowd, more like Revenge of the Nerds. Oh, you know it. Heck yeah, it's my favorite kind. Have I ever worked with Boinks Mimo Live on the Mac? It's similar to OBS but optimized for Mac OS. Yes, absolutely. In fact, they were working on a project for us that did a rocket overlay, kind of like what I wanted to do at Company X, but they never actually deployed. I call it, it's like, so the first web graphic overlays that we saw came from Space Vidcast, and they were on the bottom, and those were done during the Space Shuttle era. The next generation was done at Company X, and those were kind of the bottom and then top era. There's a new look and feel at Company X that I may or may not be a fan of, but that doesn't really extend the graphic state any further. It didn't advance the graphics, it just changed the look and feel. There is a generation beyond that that I have been dreaming of and working on for the last half decade. Some of you have talked to me, and like I've been like bouncing ideas off of you for a while as to like make this into a cohesive thing. It's really freaking cool. This idea is really cool. And I was really hopeful that we'd be able to do it with Boinks. They have the technology engine capable of making it go, but I was unable. It's the same problem I have with everyone else is like I try to convey the idea, and this is my problem, not theirs. I don't seem to be able to convey the idea in a compelling enough way to anyone who's able to execute on it. Because there are two big hurdles, very, very large hurdles, that may be insurmountable. I don't believe they are. If we can get over those hurdles, it will break your brain. If we can't, it will be freaking terrible. And I think that's where everyone kind of stops, because they run into that hurdle and then they're like, well, this is a huge freaking hurdle. I'm like, yeah, I know. Ideas, and they're like, no. I'm thinking that I was Mugendi, if I said that right. And I'm thinking about how I was watching Tim stream earlier rather than watching SpaceX, and have to wonder if that has an effect on the numbers that Jamie contributes to. I mean, the SpaceX numbers are so freaking high. It doesn't matter to us. Kelly says, I'm working flight simulation and we're upgraded our IGs. I don't know what IGs is. Instagrams. To the GTX 2080s titaniums. And the bump in fidelity we've seen has been great, but keeping the frame rate up is a pain. Yes, the other thing is like, pick your poison, right? It's all about the pipeline. And you got, like, you're only as good as the weakest part of your pipe. Do you leave everything on when you disembark from 204? If you don't, how long does it take to power all this stuff up? I leave almost everything on. The cameras get shut down. Sometimes the screens get shut down or we go to black, but that's about it. Everything else stays powered up. Kenji says, congrats to you and everyone at Company X for 100 successful Falcon launches today. Yeah, thank you very much. Mugendai. Mugendai. Okay. Juan, I think your female voice was getting really nice. Is it hard to do after the surgery? Yeah, it's basically impossible. The swelling has forced my voice down. This is actually much higher than it used to be. It was quite a bit lower before. Give me like 2 to 3 more weeks. You can still hear me struggling just to speak. It's because of swelling and nasal drippage. So everything's just gross and bad. And it's really hard to move my tongue into the correct position because my whole jaw area is swollen, which is impacting kind of the tongue area as well. So it'll get there. It'll get there. I just need a little bit more time. Yeah, and this is a good point. Just to point out, others not to know, the traditional female look isn't every male to female goal. Everyone has their own goals. Yeah. So for me, I want to fully transition to female. I'm not non-binary. I want to transition socially and as much biologically as possible. Now, obviously, I'm biologically male. I was born male. I can't undo that. But you can change a lot of the attributes of your body to match the female form from head to toe, effectively, including all of the bits, right? And so I'm working on that, and I was working from bottom up, but now I realized I have to work from top down. I have to kind of do the social part first, and then I can do some of the physical for me things next. It's coming along really well. It's going really nicely, but it just takes a really long time. I mean, 1.5 years into transition, I have another 1.5 to 2 years in front of me. But I'll get there. I'll get there. Some people don't want to do bottom surgery, right? That's not their thing. They just only want to socially transition, or maybe they don't actually. Maybe they're non-binary, whatever it might be. Yeah, I can't say I understand their exact pain, but I can say that I understand like generally what that feels like and where it's coming from, and it's rather shitty. And while I don't ask people their pronouns and I use it as an engineering resource, for some people it's very hurtful when they get misgendered. And I do actually understand that, because I will say there's the emotional side to it too, where when I am gendered as male, it sucks because I put a lot of time and effort and money into it. I put literal physical pain into this, and then I get gendered as male. It's like, what did I do wrong now? Why not now? Why did you, and then sometimes you feel like, whether or not this is right or wrong, this is just a feeling of like, I'm wearing a dress. I am trying my hardest. You couldn't have even put any effort into this? Really? But I do believe it's fundamentally my responsibility, not theirs. Like, I'm not going to tell them what I think. Telling people what to think and telling people what to say is a very slippery slope. That's my political stance on it. And I'm not okay with it in any direction, right? So that's just my view on it. So I just used it as energy. Like, I get misgendered. I'm like, well, all right, I have to try harder. I have to figure, like, what am I missing here? What can I do? What can I do better? But again, everyone is different. And it's important to know that. It's important to know that everyone's different. It's also important to know that it kind of sucks being transgender. Like, just realistically, the way I describe it to Carrie Ann, and again, everyone's different, you don't get to choose to be transgender. You don't get to choose to be gay. You don't get to choose to be male or female. You don't get to choose what color eyes you get. There are no choices in this, that you just are. But I can choose to do something about it. So when it comes to being transgender, I can choose to transition. I can choose not to transition. Now, some people may say that's no choice at all, but actually it is. Now, it might be an easy choice. It might be a very simple choice for some people, or an obvious choice. That's fine, but it is still a choice. For me, it was not a simple, obvious choice. I was not sure what I was going to do. There was a very real chance that I was just going to live the rest of my days as male, and not tell anyone other than Carrie Ann, and then bury that secret deep within my soul. I think it would have eaten me alive. I found a level of happiness even halfway through transition that I never knew I could. So I deeply regret not transitioning 20 years ago when I first figured this out. I deeply regret repressing this. And I kind of use that regret as a way to go, no, don't move backwards, you move forwards. Like, you made that mistake before, don't make it again. Sorry, I'm starting to lose my voice a little bit. But yeah, that for some people it's a really difficult and horrible choice, and it's not fun. And then getting, you're not the norm, and it is very painful, and literally physically and emotionally, and it's like you're not where you want to be ever, and it's hard. It's transitioning genders is hands down the hardest thing I have ever done in my life by a large margin, by a very large margin. And it is also the most rewarding thing I have ever done in my life by a very large margin. So I wouldn't trade it for anything. But just know that that's what it's like on the other side. Anyhow, for some of us. Sorry, I'm a little bit backed up on questions here. Through all of the challenges and life changes of transitioning, do you remember to cherish that amazing, stunning soul who shares her life with you through all? Oh, yeah, of course. So, yeah. I mean, heck, Carrie Ann is out on a parabolic flight without me. But, like, yeah. Yeah, Carrie Ann's incredible. Where do you discuss the details of your next level ideas? Escape velocity. Yes, that's correct. So anything I've got for that stuff generally goes in escape velocity. Excuse me. For no reason, you're absolutely right with the social part. I'm aiming for my voice first and FFS second. Let me tell you, I was getting pretty far with voice. I've moved backwards. This is backwards a good year with regards to voice because of the FFS surgery. So I don't want to scare you, but I want to set that expectation. I asked some people on Reddit, and it sounds like it's a fairly common occurrence. So just something to be aware of. It is temporary. It's certainly temporary, but it's not emotionally great. Speaking of Carrie Ann, how is she doing? You used to see her on Tomorrow all the time, but since the change in format, we only see her here. She was, I always kind of had to drag her to Tomorrow. She would go, but begrudgingly. So then I just decided, like, again, should be fun for everyone, and if she's not having fun, then, like, why? And she puts on a good game face, but, like, at the end of the day, like, this just isn't her thing, right? This is my baby. And so I wasn't going to force her to do it. I'm still not going to force her to do it. She may want to come on from time to time. Awesome. She's always welcome. But I'm not going to force anyone to do Tomorrow. This should not be a job. This should be exciting and fun and like a chance to geek out with fellow space nerds. That's what this should be. And if that's not interesting to you, that's fine. That's fine. It's totally fine. But then, like, don't do it. Juan, is any of this covered by health insurance? Does it have to be out of pocket? Yeah, so good question. If I were to fight Blue Shield of California pretty hard, I could get a lot of it covered under health insurance. It should be covered, at least in California. Having said that, that would delay my transition by literally years. And I don't want that. There's one that they have a very hard time fighting, and that's bottom surgery. So bottom surgery is generally covered pretty well, at least here in California. Every state is different, so, and every insurance company and every insurance plan is different. So, something to keep in mind. The only thing that will end up being covered for me is most likely bottom surgery. I paid out of pocket in its entirety for my face. I am paying out of pocket in entirety for my midsection as well, so for body sculpting and augmentation. I'm hopeful that it will not, I'm paying out of pocket in its entirety for electrolysis, even though the insurance company told me that they would cover it. So they said, we don't have electrologists. We know that this is transgender surgery. We will cover this specific electrologist. And so I went to that specific electrologist and they went, no, just kidding. We can't cover them. So That's been par for the course with regards to Blue Shield of California. I have about this much paper from them denying my claims. Deny, 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 deny. So that's another fun thing of being transgender, is it's very, especially if you're older, it's very expensive. Insurance does suck. It's pretty awful. It's really moved me towards a single payer system. Get rid of the insurance companies. They're not useful. Profit-driven companies for health does not make sense. And so we need to get rid of the insurance companies in their entirety. And I feel like that's something I should lobby for. I need to get done with me first, but then I think I'll probably go around and do that. Like they've made my life pretty miserable. So I think I'll return the favor. Not right now. I need to, that's a longer term thing. Like I'll complete what I need to do first with me and then loop around and make them feel like I felt. I think that's only fair. Ballpark, what's more expensive, transitioning or building a live studio? Oh God, transitioning, easy, easy, easy. Even with all of this equipment, I'll be, well, if they don't cover bottom surgery, I'll probably be into transition at about $350,000 or so. If they do cover bottom surgery, then I'll probably be in for around $100,000 to $150,000 or so out of pocket. Yeah. Yeah, it's not cheap. Also, I'm bougie, right? So like, although I will say that I spent a lot of time looking for a facial feminization surgeon, and I didn't go to the most expensive one. I went to the one that I thought was the absolute best. And I think he really was. He was absolutely incredible. And he was not the most expensive. He was kind of in the middle. But man, he could have charged double. I think he could have charged double, and it would have been justifiable. Hell has no fear like a woman scorned. Yeah. Johnny Spacer, I'm surprised that insurance would cover bottom surgery, but not all gender reassignment surgery. Oh, so here's why it's hard for them not to cover bottom surgery, and why it is very easy for them to not cover. Here's why they have to cover bottom surgery, but not anything else. This is subjective. It is cosmetic, right? Some women have a little bit of a brow bone. So when I say I want to get rid of my brow bone, they go, but some women have a brow bone. Denied. When I go, I want to have a little bit more in the cheeks because women generally have larger, fuller cheeks. They go, yeah, but not all women have larger, fuller cheeks. Denied. Rinse and repeat, rinse and repeat, rinse and repeat, right? So it's very rinse and repeat. Not all women have, whatever. This could be fine. Like some women have an A.5 cup size. That's normal for a cisgendered woman. Denied. Not all women have shape. Like some of them have a fairly straight. Denied. But there's something that women do not have that I have. And so it's very hard for them to go, well, but, yeah. So it's very difficult for them to say no to bottom surgery, right? Because that's clearly a transgender surgery. It is clearly something that cis women do not have, right? So that part will likely get covered in its entirety. My company's insurance company decided to drop coverage for one of the medications that I take and two medications that my wife takes. So we're having to pay full price for the meds, not cheap. Yeah, no kidding. Yeah, some of this stuff is really expensive. Watching your transition completely devalues the argument. It's a choice. It's a struggle with torturous pain and humiliations. It's obviously not a choice. Yeah, again, being transgender is not a choice. I did not choose this. If I had the ability to choose to change my mind or change my body, I would absolutely change my mind. The first thing I looked at was like, okay, how do I make this go away? If I'm being honest, like, I didn't want to like have to deal with the physical pain of all of this stuff. I didn't want to have to like socially transition. I knew it was going to be awkward and awful, and like I don't even know if I'm going to be able to successfully pull it off when it's all said and done. I really don't. I might completely and totally fail at this. I hope I don't, but that's still that's still a possibility. So yeah, that part's not a choice. I did not choose this. I would not wish this upon anyone. If you are happy and comfortable in your own gender, consider yourself very lucky. Like, and that is, by the way, 99% of the population. Like almost everyone, just that's what feels right for them. It is not what feels right for me. It never has. So then it's like, okay, how do I shed Ben and allow Jamie to like? How do I shed the shell of Ben and let Jamie flourish? And yeah, it's very expensive and very painful and emotionally difficult for myself and for the people around me too, right? It doesn't just impact me, it impacts family and friends, because there is this murky, awkward middle ground, right? But there's the point when I have this male voice, this female forehead, female eyes, and then huge bruises under my eyes. It's awkward. I have scars across my face. It's awkward. It's just awkward. I can't feel anything up here. I can't talk correctly. But if you ever wanted to know how important it is to someone, how emotionally important it is for someone to do this, like, look at what I did just for my face. That was just my face. And what I was willing to go through for that, and I would do it again in a heartbeat to get to where I want to get to. No doubt in my mind, no hesitation whatsoever. So, I mean, say what you will, but that's how I feel, for better or worse. If you don't understand that, that's okay. But just know that just because you don't understand what it's like for me doesn't mean that it's less valid for me or less hurt. Like, just because you don't understand doesn't mean I'm still not hurting. I don't want to say that I'm hurting. That's not entirely true either. But like, I know that this isn't who I want to be. So I want to make this transition. I wish I didn't have to, but like, yeah. From your experience or just personal opinion, what is your opinion about gender reassignment for people under 18? I think that is completely and totally dependent on the individual. I think that this argument is trying to be made where it's like it should or shouldn't happen at this arbitrary line of 18. That ain't how biology works. So I can say that there are some parents that push their children into being transgender because they want the attention or whatever. That's bad. That's wrong. That should not happen. That's not okay. There are some kids who are more trenders than they are transgender, where they want the attention. It's kind of like the parents, but this is like the kids want the attention and the parents maybe don't want it. But the kids think it's what they want. And like, that's difficult because it's kind of a socially driven thing as opposed to like this deep core emotional thing, which is not the same. And that's not good either, because these are permanent changes you're making to your body that will have lifelong consequences. And I don't think that there's enough respect that goes into the concept that these are permanent, lifelong changes to your body, to your mind, and to your social infrastructure. Every orbit in your life will be impacted by this decision, drastically. You have to take it with the utmost amount of seriousness. However, I can name at least one kid that I know that is under the age of 18 who said they were transgender, and I went, yep, that tracks. I know you. I've known you for a very long time. I know that you've thought this through, and that fits you. And so for that person, if that's something they want to do, transitioning before puberty actually does make sense, to me at least, for this one child. And I think that it needs to be done on a case-by-case basis. There is no like, yes, it works for this there is no like, it doesn't work for anyone under 18, but as soon as you're over 18, it works. That's not how any of this goes. Unfortunately, that makes it much messier, but that's just the way it is. That's how biology is. It's messy. It's not 1 or 0. It's not black or white. Nothing in biology is like that, including gender. As much as we like to think of gender as 1 and 0 and black and white and male and female, that's actually not how it is at all. There's intersex. This is seen across species. Like, biology does not back that up in the slightest. And that goes with age as well. So you need to look at it on a per case basis. And you need to really listen to the kid, listen to the child and understand where they're coming from, because I will say that this does suck. And if they do know this and you have an opportunity and they are sure, and it's not just a temporary thing, and they have an opportunity to take corrective action before puberty, there are huge advantages to that. What if they have even the smallest amount of doubt? Not sure. I have a hard time with that. It's a lifetime of changes. Repercussions for the rest of their life. And that's the end of that. That's my opinion, of course. Oh, question is to like, there's a question as to whether you can add a link for vocal coach. By all means, absolutely. I'm always looking for more data. Always feel free to share this stuff. By the way, my opinion on all of these things can be changed too. With more new data, I'm not locked into like, this is the way it will always be. That's also not how engineering works. With new subset of data, I will derive a new opinion. I will come to a new conclusion if the data supports it. It's that simple. I can't truthfully fully understand your situation, but I'll forever be grateful for you to invite us in on my journey. It causes me to learn and broaden my horizons. Yeah, that was kind of, so part of where this comes from is I tried to figure out how I would tell myself from 5 years ago what I was going to go through now, and it's very difficult. The problem I have is there's no common language. It's as if, imagine for a moment, and this is some of you may have heard me say this before, but I think it still holds true. Imagine for a moment you are suddenly and instantly transported to a world that does not have the color blue at all. It doesn't exist anywhere. No one has ever seen the color blue. There is no color blue in this world whatsoever, but you have still seen the color blue. How do you then describe to someone what the color blue is? You have no point of reference. You have no common language. It's very difficult to describe to someone who isn't out of odds with their gender, what being transgender is like. I don't have a common language. I can use words like painful, but that's not quite right. I can be like in the wrong body, but that's not quite right. None of it's quite right. It's really flustering. Really, really flustering that I can't say, it's like this. And then you go, oh, I get that. I have found no parallels to it whatsoever. Other than I'm absolutely sure. If I wasn't absolutely sure, wouldn't have done this. Wouldn't have spent the money, wouldn't have been going through the effort or the time. All I can say is, this is who I am. And I don't expect other people to understand because I can't convey that common language. Like, I can't find the right words yet. I haven't found them yet. I keep searching for them. So why would I ever expect anyone to understand? The only thing I can hope for is that on the other side of this, which has been fundamentally happening everywhere, people may not understand, but they accept. And they go, I don't understand what you're going through, but I accept you're going through some shit. And so I'll support you however I can. And that's exactly what's happened in the community, almost in its entirety. I was very scared about that. I did not know how the community would react. I mistakenly thought, because we've got a pretty split mix between Republicans and Democrats in the TMRO community, I thought the Republicans were going to all nope out and just like be really harsh and really awful humans to me. And That did not happen. That was not the case. It turns out that good people are good people, regardless of political affiliation. Who knew? Bad people are bad people, regardless of political affiliation. Who knew? So the good people, whether they're Democrats or Republicans, have been good to me. The bad people, whether they're Democrats or Republicans, have been bad to me. It's that simple. So I was really worried, but I didn't understand. I was very naive. So I was very scared to share it with the community. But then once I realized that actually, no, good people are good people, and we have a really good community. And actually, there's a bunch of engineers. And actually, a bunch of engineers might find this interesting because, again, it's a form of engineering. I was like, yeah, I'll just share it. Yeah, share it all. Why not? Arwan said, Johnny Spacer says, so transgender is not driven by sexual preference. No, actually, there are two separate things. So just like you can be a man and attracted to men, you can be a woman attracted to men, you can be a woman attracted to women, like your sexual preference has very little to do with your gender, right? Your gender is interestingly enough more of a social construct than anything else, although there is a biological aspect to it. It is based on there's like this biological foundation and then this huge social aspect that sits on top of that biological foundation. So on that biological foundation, you've got, men and women have different skeletal structures, different, generally speaking, broad strokes, very broad strokes here. Skeletal structures, generally women are shorter, higher voices because it doesn't drop, the vocal folds don't increase. The face shape is different, the skeletal structure in the face is different, different genitals, right? But then on top of that, so that's just the biological side of it. But then on top of that is this whole big social thing of how we treat women versus how we treat men. Not better or worse, just different, just completely different. And expectations of each is completely and totally different. That is such a so much larger marker of total gender than just the biology bit, kind of foundation bit on the bottom. So I'm actually working on both of these things, right? So there's a lot more work to be done here than there is to be done here. But interestingly enough, this is the hardest bit in many regards, right? So this is the part that outwardly society will then dictate how this bit goes. I don't know if that made any sense. I thought kids just went on hormones until they were 18. I guess that's not the case. Nope. Actually, if you're transgender and you understand that you're transgender and you're sure of it, and you jump on hormones like right as your puberty starts and you flip your puberty. So if you were assigned male at birth and you jump on testosterone blockers and estrogen right as you're going into puberty, you will fundamentally go through, again, broad strokes, fundamentally go through a female puberty, not a male puberty. So when it comes to developing the extra brow bone, that may not happen. So this surgery may not need to occur. You may actually be able to get through all 5 Tanner stages, or at least 4 Tanner stages of breast growth, which I will never be able to do. I'll be stuck at like 2 or 3 max. You might actually develop, like your hips might actually swing back and actually like a woman's hips, right? Because they fuse during puberty, male puberty. But if you don't go through male puberty, they don't do that, and they'll actually swing back. So you'll fundamentally go through female puberty, and then the only other things you need to adjust are some minor physical things. So it makes transition substantially easier and way, way easier for you to pass. And your voice won't change. That one's really hard. So voice won't drop. So there's, yeah. Glad I pointed out the concept of changing opinion based on new data. Yeah, a lot of people do refuse to change their minds, but I don't think that's this community, right, either, right? I think, again, we're a community of engineers, and I know I've harped on that for a really long time, but like that's how engineering goes, right? Our horn, I think some ancient peoples had something called two-spirit people, and they had a certain place in the community. Yeah, it'd be nice if we went back to that, because that tracks. I don't want to say back to that, but like it just tracks. Johnny Spacer, I won't read that one out loud, but like, yeah, I had a similar thing. So I figured this out like 20 years ago, and actually it was over 20 years ago, sometime between, I can't pinpoint the exact time, but it was sometime between 1994 and 1998 is when I first figured this out. And yeah, it terrified me. I was embarrassed, I was ashamed, and I was scared. Like really, all of those things to the max. And so, to the max, 1980s. So I didn't want to deal, and so I didn't. And I just buried it away in my head, and I was like, nope, not a thing. And I did my best to lean into who I wasn't. And it was disingenuous to me, it was disingenuous to you. And it was ultimately the wrong call, and I regret doing it. Having said that, like, I also logically understand that like now is the correct time for me to transition, because my gender got me to where I'm at. Like pretending like gender didn't have a role in that is foolish. It did. Gender got me the people I have in my life, and those are incredible people, and pretending like that didn't have a role in it, gender didn't have a role in it, is foolish. So I'm actually very happy with my life, and I'm happy that I'm not sad that half of my life I spent as male, and the next half will be about half of my life as male and then half as female. How many people get the opportunity to live both genders? Not many. And I have an incredible opportunity in front of me, and I think it's amazing and exciting and fun, and I'm excited for it. But yeah, I still have an emotional regret in not doing anything 20 years ago. Oh yeah, this is a good point. Kids can see an endocrinologist to control hormones and delay puberty if there's like a question. So if you're not entirely sure, you can actually delay puberty. You don't have to delay puberty. You can just start puberty, but like with the opposite gender. You can start puberty with your current gender, like whatever, or you can delay puberty. Again, there is no right answer. I can't point and say, this is the way we should do it. What we should do is on an individual basis, really analyze that specific situation. I wish it was more cut and dry than that, but it isn't. And then based on that specific situation, make a decision that is best for that child. I think that's the only thing that can be done. Oh, Dr. Powers, Mugendi. Sorry, I know you've told me how to say it multiple times and I keep screwing it up. I'm so sorry. The Powers method. Absolutely. I have been meaning to kind of like reach out and see if maybe that's something I should do with regards to my hormones, because it seems like it's working. There isn't a whole lot of research with regards to transgender anything and hormones. There's a little bit, but it's like all old. And he's actually like, I mean, he's sitting there going, look, we can do better. I'm not saying that what he's doing is perfect or right or anything else, but I'm saying it's really interesting. At least he's doing something. So, yeah, I just, I work at Company X. Company X takes a fantastic amount of time, and Will Powers, Dr. Powers, is obscenely busy. And I don't want to get into a position where, like, I don't even think he's taking on new clients. So, it is what it is. I would love to get better usage out of my hormones, but I'm also 42. So I think realistically, 80% of where I need to get to is going to have to be done through surgery. Almanacs, will your voice become truly female, or will you have to pretend forever? Maybe a bad word. Okay, no, I understand. Right, because there's what you feel is your natural voice, but that's not actually a real true statement. Your natural voice is just a learned behavior. You've learned where you want to speak in your vocal fold. You can change that learned behavior. It doesn't have to be to speak female. If you want to speak lower, you can train yourself to speak lower. That's not a putting on a voice. It's just training your voice. It's what singers do. All I'm doing is retraining my voice. Men and women speak differently. Women speak with an E. Oh, that's why I can't do it. Oh, that hurts. That really hurt. Speak with an E. There we go. That's a little easier. Men speak with an O kind of sound. So I have to E-ify everything. And female to male men need to O-ify their sounds, even in pitch. So it's not even that much pitch. Like I'm really low right now. If I were to look at, really, there we go. No. There we go. Yeah, I'm around. Yeah, I'm pretty low. 1 2 1 2 1 2. That's getting EQ'd, so it's hard to say. Anyhow, there's overlap about like this, women, men, with regards to frequency. It's not the pitch. I mean, it is pitch, like a higher voice historically is female, but it's also that higher E-ified sound. Once I train myself to E-ify my language, that will be how I speak. It will be my voice. So if someone said to me, hey, use your real voice, that will be my real voice. If they say, hey, go back to use your male voice, it will be a struggle because I have learned how to speak in an E-ified dialect, and trying to go back to an O-ified dialect will feel wrong because it's not how I speak anymore. And so that will be my speaking pattern. Having said that, I have 42 years of O-ifying my speech. I'm not going to E-ify overnight. It takes a lot of training, and I have been training for the last year, once a week, every week, trying to E-ify everything. Now, I haven't done it since surgery started. But like, yeah, like it takes a minute. With the remaking Max Headroom. Yeah, I've subscribed to his subreddit, the Dr. Power subreddit, and yeah, like you said, he's not. Although I think he's just got another doctor, so he can start taking on new clients. But like, again, I'm this far through with the hormone regimen that I have now, and when you look at my hormone levels, they are pretty good. They're pretty good to assist women's estrogen and testosterone levels. So the Spiro took to me pretty well, as did the estrogen. I just got back on HRT today, actually, because you have to be off of it prior to surgery and then off of it after surgery for the risk of blood clotting. So I'm just getting back into hormones. The question was also, will it become a conscious effort or become second nature? It will become second nature. Speaking with an E-ified voice and a female voice will become, I won't have to think about it. I got very close. I was getting so close prior to surgery. Surgery set me back a ways. My mouth shape is totally different, and so like everything is messed up. Actually, you can even hear like my tongue is rolled back on some of these words, and so like the words are like this weird hybrid of O-ified and E-ified. They're just in a lower pitch. And my dynamic range is very short right now because just overall inflammation issues, right? It's really hard to speak in general when all of this is inflamed, right? So, but yeah, eventually I won't have to think about it at all. At first, you have to think about it a lot. Every word requires brain power, and it requires a lot of brain power. Lifting up my pitch required a lot of brain power. I got to a point where if you listen to me, if you heard me doing like AMAs or anything else out here, I wasn't generally thinking about a lot of that. That was just kind of me. If you heard me start to slide down a little bit, then maybe I was thinking about it a little bit up front, but that was basically where my voice was. And I'll get there soon enough. Like, it won't take that much training to get back there because I was already there and I was already stuck there. I just need to get this swelling to go down, which will go down in the next couple of weeks. Yeah, Powers says standard tests don't show the whole picture. Yeah. This is why I like Dr. Powers, is because it goes back to that kind of Mac PC debate of like, well, you can't just look at this one number. It's the whole pipeline. And that's kind of what he's fundamentally saying, is like, you can't just look at these hormone numbers. This isn't the whole thing. It's how everything interacts, and like how it gets digested into the system, and like all that fun jazz. And I fundamentally agree. Like, what he's saying makes a ton of sense to me. I don't have the ability to become his client because he's not taking on new clients. Yeah, so like, I just haven't done anything with it. Oh, I haven't done anything with it. That's not to say that I won't. It's just, to date, I haven't done anything with it. But I think what he's doing is incredible. And I think it's I kind of like the doctor that I saw from my face, where I think I firmly believe that within the next few years, my doctor will become kind of a gem in the transgender community, because he's not super expensive, but he's freakishly good at what he does. Incredible bedside manner, and he really understands. At least for me, he understood exactly what I was trying to get to and got me there. Now, obviously, I have a way to go here with regards to swelling, but like, I know I can feel how much I'm swollen, and I can like extrapolate that data and go, okay, it's going to look like this. Holy crap, that's amazing. So I believe that he's going to end up with a multi-year long waiting list, and I just got lucky that I found him so early on. I think Dr. Powers is similar, right? And I think he's actually at that point where I just missed him. Right? If I had gone back like 2-3 years, I think I could have gotten him, but I just missed him, and he just got too popular right before I came on, which is too bad, because like, I love this stuff. I love the engineering side of it, right? What a great, when you think about it, I'm like the perfect client, because I enjoy sharing the data, the good, the bad, and the otherwise. Like, no, this did work, this didn't work. Like, I love data, and like, and sharing it and like absorbing it. Like, data is fun, data is cool. So I'm actually a pretty good, interestingly enough, a perfect client in that regard. That's all right. All right. On that note, Carrie Ann's probably home soon. I'm gonna need to get some beverage of sorts. And yeah, I hope you all had a fun time. We got the new control surface installed and ready to go. We've got all of the different screens up and working, right? All my Macs are working. All of the different sources are working again. So yeah, I mean, this is looking really good. I think this will be a really great addition to the control room. I think this will make life for the technical director much, much easier. It looks cooler, which is more important, like really important to me. I think look is important to the control rooms too. And I'm excited to try it out. So thank you everyone so much for joining. I hope you had a little bit of fun. You know, if you want to email me directly with any of this stuff, be it video production, transgender stuff, rocket stuff, as best as I can answer, because again, I can't talk any Company X stuff. Jamie@tmro.tv, or just shoot like Twitter. I'm Photon Empress on Twitter and on Reddit. So like, just I really like, especially with this transgender stuff, I like keeping it public so that other people can learn from it too. I think that's important. But if you've got a private question or whatever, always feel free to reach out. I'm more than happy to connect and communicate with any and all of you. I think if I ever gave the impression that I'm sad or unhappy with anything that I'm doing, it's quite the opposite. I'm extremely happy. It's hard to convey the excitement with my current voice. I literally can't raise my volume, but like, this is the best decision I've ever made in my life, and I didn't realize how much I was holding myself back by suppressing it, and I'm very happy with where I'm at and where I'm going, and I'm so excited for the future. I'm so excited for my own personal tomorrow. I can't even tell you. So, all right, on that note, thank you everyone, and see you on the other side.